check Chuffy 1 2. Check Chuffy 1 2. 1 2 check Chuffy 1 2. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm the Super Chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. We're in mono. Let me check that you can hear me. You can probably tell me in chat that you can hear me. I'll just check it like this. 1 2 check Chuffy 1 2. Yep, you can hear me. This is the Super Chuffer channel. I am not a true crime channel. I am a Super Chuffer. Been making a few waves in the true crime space though, because of our compelling body language analysis, and because I'm the first person to float a few ideas here and there that then seem to get, you know, a bit of traction on the old other crime channels there, don't they? A few other ideas. Do you remember we go right, I'll blow my own trumpet, blow my own big trumpet. But going back to the start, I reviewed the 11 facts and Paul Ansell's body language, and I was straight in on Paul. I was like, this isn't right at all. Him by the river 2 months ago, then him there, and then a couple of days go by and I'm starting on Emma. Didn't like what she was saying. And then we did Jason Dean Rothwell, and I was the person that brought to my public attention that he's never found a body and that he's just a dodgy chuffer. And the claims that he found those other bodies, it's more likely, after we reviewed the cases, that he was on the scene, in the drug scene, in the party scene, and he's more likely to be the person that pushed that poor Michael lad in the river than found him and fished him out. There's no record of him finding any bodies, Jason Dean Rothwell. So like a few things that we just come up with by doing a bit of research, looking into the facts, and then sometimes I will do my body language analysis, and that's not facts, that's my body language analysis. But that's what I do. I deal in facts. I don't make up weird shit. I don't say, oh, I heard someone on Facebook said that something here, someone in the village said to somebody on Facebook, oh, I heard that there was a woman and she thought that her Alsatian was under her bed every night and it would lick her hand. And then one night there was a burglar and he licked her hand and that was the burglar. Oh, scary story. I don't make up a load of shit. Okay. So I haven't been doing pumping out Nicola Bulley content. I've done quite a lot of it, but we also do other stuff, you'll see. Other stuff. We've got Thus, the podcast about how people think, feel and behave. We've got all sorts of other ideas, and we're going to be doing different episodes in the future. So if you're coming here just for Nicola Bulley or just for true crime, you've got a lot more excitement to enjoy than you thought. Bit of a body language channel, I'll say that. But really, there's no experts in body language. I just give my opinion. And people seem to like what we do here. Let me say hello to all you in chat. Healing Strategies, Disney Lion, Fiona. We've got Jessica. We've got your early birds, aren't you? Yeah, your early birds. Sarah, Healing Strategies. Essex Boys. Audrey, Shirley. Sorry, they're going past while I try to read them. Pat, Sam, Suzanne, Julie. I'm sorry if I missed any of your names. So I'm scrolling through a load of these names very quickly. Brutally Honest Marv. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. What we're doing today is we're going to be looking at, it's been requested. Penny at the caravan site, Ron by the riverside on that interview. That's what we're going to be looking at. There's Ron. This is Super Chuffer. My tippies, it really makes a certain person angry when you tippy me. And if you tip me, I might wear the wig, if you like, if you tippy me. I get more of a cut from coffee.com than YouTube, so I prefer it that way. And I'm really grateful for anything we get. I'm not soliciting for money. Although I do want to make media creation has been my job for a long time. I want to make this that we're doing here more sustainable. So eventually we want to find a sponsor. But first, tippies are very gracious. You know, I'm very grateful, and it's very gracious of you to tip me. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much for that. Hello, Nick. Hello, Lottie. Hello, Phoenix. Hello, Beaclet Jog. Hello, Monarch Beach. Hello, Lynette. Got quite a lot of you in here today. And we are doing what I said we're doing. First of all, though, a little bit of housekeeping. You know, I like to start with a little bit of housekeeping. Channels. I've got other channels, of course. Battery Exhausted, the B-side channel, where we absolutely rinse aggressive narcissists or money grubbers or grifters. We do lives about them. We've been talking about Martin Leaker, we've been talking about Darkside Phil, and now some other idiot has made their way into the wheelhouse there, and we absolutely rinse them for the bullshit they
be happier.
Lisa sent tippies. Love from sunny Cornwall. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you, sunny Cornwall. It's not quite so sunny up where I'm at, but I'm sure it's going to turn out nice in the next few days. So Battery Exhausted, if you want to see the B-side channel, where we rinse people who talk shite on the internet. And then we've also got a clips channel, Super Chuffer for You. Oh, you'd like that? I bet you would. Super Chuffer for You. It's stuff that you haven't seen before, because I also stream on Twitch, which is a gaming service. And while I stream on Twitch, sometimes I go off on a little tangent. So this one, we went talking about this woman who did a song, a racist song, and it went viral. And then we've got this one where a bear went into a gas station. This one's about reacting to Zelda, and then there's all sorts. Look, Black Belt Barbie, action figures from games, Genshin Impact stuff, because I do play Genshin Impact. And if you're interested in that, I've got that's on its own channel, Ganji Impact. I also have Mental Health Monday, where I've been doing mental health support for over a year. So we've got an extensive library of mental health support videos for you there. That was good while it lasted, but we had to move on to a bigger thing after that. Like, mental health support doesn't get a lot of views on the internet, but I'm glad that I did it first and got my that's all there. That's all there. Got that in the bank. If anyone ever needs help, I know where to direct them. And we've talked about a lot of interesting stuff on that. So I've got all sorts of channels here. Sentries as well is a clips channel that clips for me. So if I want to upload some clips and they're a bit copyright or a bit, well, you probably get away with it. It's fair use, but I upload them there. So I send them to Sentries. They upload them. It means that I'm safe, insulated. So loads of different channels there, loads of different stuff. If you haven't been checking out the podcast, Thus Podcast, what are you on? Worst Women Who Kill, Serial Killer Tier List. We've been following a little vein. We've been looking at serial killers and women who kill, and we're going to finish that off next week with another episode about women who kill. So we think we've done a good, solid... it's quite nice on this. We kind of get into a bit of a vibe and a bit of a zone, and then we churn out a few episodes, and then they're almost like a little playlist within a playlist. So that's quite cool.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Curious Cat sent tippies. Tippers to wear the wig. You know why. Big ups to the Miss Marples. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
3 hugs. You directly asked for the wig. We shouldn't get on the...
The blind leading the blind sent tippies. Good evening, Scott and fellow chuffers. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Good evening. Thank you for the 3 hugs. Thank you for the £3 tippies. You really, like, the wig is... It's too early for the wig. We haven't even done the episode. Directly asked for the wig in the tippies. Now I'm wearing it. There's your 2 minutes of wig wear. We'll wear the wig for 2 minutes per tippy that directly request it, and then I'll change it. But the wig's popular, isn't it? The wig seems to be popular. It's not a full wig. It's just a fringe. Seems to be popular, though, for some reason. Certainly seems to float somebody's boat. I'll tell you that. It certainly seems to float somebody's boat, doesn't it? Right, so we're going to get into it today. We're going... unlike some others, I'll tell you what, I have looked this week at a couple of other channels, and I'm not going to name them specifically because everyone goes, oh, you're always bitching about other channels if you name them. But really, oh my God, you know this because you watch the true crime channels, yeah? Aren't they just talking a load of nothing? Some of them have gone on to other cases. No more Nicola Bulley, I haven't got anything else to say, so I've gone on to other cases, which is kind of fair enough. And like I was saying this last week, wig's come off now, I was going to do an episode about a girl who got murdered, like all this stuff went on. I did the research. We're going to watch this sort of half research that I did this week. I'm not going to do the full episode and talk about the murder too deeply, though, because I did it. Like I told you at the start, at the top of today's what we're doing. I'm not a true crime channel. I do have a forensic psychologist as part of the podcast that we do as my co-host, and we do talk about crime, but we also talk about other aspects of psychology. And so my channel is not a true crime channel, and I'm not a true crime, basically, I spent a week researching this murder, and I didn't want to talk about a horrible girl getting murdered. I wanted to walk my dog and not think about it. I thought it was horrible. I don't know about other people, but I can't do that researching murders all day. It makes me feel unhappy. And I don't want to bring dirty, horrible pedo murders to the table all the time. Like, it's just, what would I be doing? Why down the pub? Oh, how's work today? Yeah, I spent ages like staring into the abyss and void of horrible, disgusting paedophile murders. Oh, did you? Yeah. I'm going home. Do you know what I mean? It just feels so depressing and dour. So I didn't really want to do it. Just didn't want to do it. So I decided not to. So instead, I'm going to carry on the way I am as a super chuffer and not be narrow focused on true crime all the time. So I've got another couple of episodes coming up this week. Look out for them, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. But today we are doing true crime. We are looking into the Nicola Bulley case. And as I was saying, I looked at a couple of videos this week by a couple of other kind of reputable channels, and they were nothing burgers. Nothing to say. Oh, there was an article on the news about something a coroner said last week, and I've managed to dress it up into 20 minutes of talking. Oh, there's a photograph that was out, like, you know, several months ago, from several months prior, and I managed to dress it up into like 2 hours of talking. You know, and I'm watching a couple of these things, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Like, nothing burgers. So you ain't going to see that from me. I'll just nip that in the bud right there. Not interested in nothing burgers. And you're astute, people. Thank you, Jog, for the £5 super chat. Cut through your mower lead. Fuck it out. Fuck it out. Cut through the mower lead. That can be quite dangerous. And yeah, exactly. Stay positive, not be... Exactly. You know, I feel like that. I know where I'm at. I know who I am. I don't know what I like looking at. I fucking don't like looking at. So sometimes we have to cover certain stuff, but, you know, sometimes not. Like, there's lots of articles that are out there. There's lots of articles that's been out there, and there's lots of nothing burgers. So I'm keen not to do that. Okay, I'm keen not to do that. Not to try and scrape the barrel or wring out the murder. Like, you know, it's not to do that. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at Penny and Ron, and I'm going to give you my body language analysis. And I haven't looked at these videos for a while now, because I remember back when I first watched it, I had an emotional feeling about it. And I'll tell you about that, you know, as we go through it. But also I felt to myself, I don't know if I should do an analysis from a slightly emotional read. You know, having my own, and I'll tell you about my own, you know, experiences with ladies like Penny as we go through. I don't know if I should bring my emotions into it. And I remember at the time, I want to take you back, way back. Let's go back in time to when we did these early episodes. We did 11 facts, Vanished, and red flags, the call-in and all that. But in the first one, I think it was 11 flags, although even I can't remember now. And it's an extensive playlist. It's an extensive playlist, the Nicola Bulley one. And even I can't remember exactly which video it was now. But in one of them, we looked at the Google Maps. It was probably 11 facts. It was probably really early on. And we looked at this area, and we looked at where they said she'd gone missing. And at this time, I was going on what they were saying. You know, I think by episode 2, when I did Vanished, I was already of the opinion that she didn't vanish from the river and that was all a load of bollocks. I was already, like, from day dot, I've said Paul Ansell did it, and probably at home, or maybe at Marsh Farm, or maybe she was hidden in the attic. Do you remember when we did the Ansell interview review? He kept saying stuff about upstairs in the attic, and I was like, she's in the attic. Like, and then that psychic lady did a video to confirm it after she'd watched my... Man, YouTube's a funny place, but I know my feelings from way back, yeah? And I remember looking at this, and I remember saying that... Let's just have the layers so you can see it like this. I remember saying that this area here, where she'd supposedly had gone missing, it's funny they put this blue mark. Google Maps has changed, actually. Has changed here. They put these paths in where they didn't really exist before, in blue. Or maybe that's just a setting I've got it on now because I've got that on. Yeah, there we go. It's just a setting I had. Sorry, it hasn't changed. This whole area here, actually it has actually. This path is now more clearly marked in. I remember saying that this is the bench over here, and the places of interest to me, if this is where she had gone missing, would have simply and quite clearly have been this caravan park here that backs onto it. And I remember saying that if you at the back, what would you be doing messing about by these pods? They've got the majority of the camping facilities and buildings up this end, and these pods are for use like on season, but it's off season, so they would just be empty and barren. So someone could be faffing about down here, but they'd have to come through the bushes and the trees at the back, and I would assume the bushes and the trees at the back make a natural barrier. So whilst it looks like this area is very close and you could just jump through, it might not be the case, and you might have to come down allotment lane here. And I remember looking on here up there at how easy it was to walk up there. People talked about, oh sorry, allotment lane's just over here, isn't it? People talked about the chickens and about how maybe Nicola's dog went in with the chickens, and I was saying, no, I don't think so. She probably kept it on a lead. Like, this is way back. This is way back. I noticed the culvert first. Yes, you're right, Catkins. I did. That's exactly right. We were doing exactly this, and I noticed the culvert, and then Curtis went over and had a look at the culvert, which is good, because it was almost like me and Curtis, although without talking to each other, like, we knew we were watching each other's content, and if one of us, like, if I wasn't able to go on the boots on the ground, I could suggest something. He could go there and point the camera at it. So I thought, good. I'm glad you did that, Curtis. I don't know if he just had the idea himself or if he saw it on our video, but I know who was on the internet first saying things first, because, like, you all know it and it can be seen. So I'm not trying to make a big blow my own trumpet about this, but things are now getting a little bit out of hand with some other channels, aren't they? So, and I remember this as well, right? I remember saying Rowan Water, and we're going to have a look at Rowan Water in itself, maybe as its own episode or maybe as part of another episode, but maybe today, depending on the time. But I remember talking about Rowan Water as well. We had a little look at the video in there, and we had a look at the gate and all this. So we talked about all this way back. And this is where Penny and Ron come into it, because I remember saying someone should check out this caravan park. And then lo and behold, I checked out the caravan park. And do you remember I got those reviews from TripAdvisor? Do you remember that? Wyreside Caravan Park TripAdvisor. Like, look, see how it's already been clicked. We looked at this and it said these things, that Penny was generally nice, but some people had a couple of problems with Penny. It doesn't matter what date it is, does it? Where's my reviews? We looked at the bad reviews, didn't we? Rude, aggressive owner. Site is okay. Site's quite small. I wanted one night stop. Owner is rude and aggressive, and so is her grandson. The woman obviously has a big dislike for dogs too, as constantly shouting abuse at dog walkers near the site. We were glad we were only staying one night. We won't be back. So that was an issue to us. Rude and abrasive. Sadly, we cancelled our visit before arrival owing to the owner's very rude and abrasive behaviour. This person tried to make a booking. Penny rang them in the middle of the morning at like 7 in the morning, and they were having a row, and so they just thought, fuck it off, I'm not booking. So we've got these problems. One of them even mentioned having rows with dog walkers. This one says, trying to book here is a headache itself. You have to message Penny, who takes days to reply, and then the booking process is not simple because you're going back and forth with her, replying over and over again and then she's asked you about dogs, and she moans in person, saying you didn't specify, even though it's on an email. The campsite looks spacious enough. A quarter of a mile walk to the toilets. Just results to people around you pissing in the hedges. The shower cubicle is out. Like, they're going on about this not being up to scratch or whatever. This was a while ago, June 2021, but not that long ago. Average reviews here. The owner made no efforts whatsoever to open toilet facilities despite staff being available and a small number of campers on site. Charged full price irrespective. Not the most welcoming of sites. No interest in owners making themselves known. Just water and electricity. Underwhelmed and unlikely to return to this field. So that was negative again. You know, this is negative. Quite a week away, this one here. Basic toilet and showers. But this one says the nice, friendly owner was very helpful. This one does. And then the reviews turn around. Other people, and let's just look at the excellent ones. You know, other people say that the owners couldn't do enough for us. They were super friendly. The campsite's cosy and comfortable. This one says value for money. Absolutely would recommend. Gorgeous spot. Great facilities. Dog friendly. Like, what's happening here? So before we get into it, let's pick up where we left off, so to speak, all those weeks ago. I was saying this place looks dodgy. I was saying there's reports on the TripAdvisor about a woman who's having rows with dog walkers. I would investigate that. I remember, hello in chat. Are you all good in chat? Are you all following what we're doing? Are you all having a good time? Let me just check, because sometimes I get lost in what I'm focusing on. I want to make sure that I'm keeping up with you. I think what's wonderful in our chat is you can all have different ideas and opinions, and you can voice them. And as long as no one's mean to each other, you can all stay and you can all voice them. And then you can all become friends as well. So I don't mind, you know, if you're just chatting to each other, that's good, actually. That's fine. So this is an area that I said the police should look at. This was before a video of Penny, before Curtis went up there, before any of that. That's an area we should look at. I also said that about Rowan Water, but I didn't have the backup of these reports of a cantankerous owner. And I did say that it was a lot more hard to get in. And I did think that Rowan Water seemed like less of a real thing. Although some people think that she might have been grabbed here in some way. that Nicola may have walked up to here and been grabbed here, and that the phone came back to the bench, but Nicola didn't. You know, we said at the same time as well, we said we should be looking at this and we should be looking at this. Weeks down the line, well, literally days down the line after that, I saw Emma's interviews and we started doing Emma's body language. I started ignoring this completely, this whole area, and I said that, how do I even know that Nicola left the house? Oh, people saw her at the school. It was Emma that saw her at the school, wasn't it? Apparently, you know, time out there, I'm not reporting that as a fact, but I think it was Emma that, you know, saw her at school. And who do we know that's, and what about these witnesses and eyewitnesses? And again, I'm not going to repeat and regurgitate my old episodes, but I showed you about how eyewitnesses were unreliable and that people had been to the electric chair for an eyewitness account and it turned out to be wrong for DNA. And in the very episode, I asked you, oh, do you remember seeing that dog walker? Because we looked at a video of someone going up the dog walk path. And I said, do you remember that dog walker, what clothes they were wearing? And half the people in chat couldn't remember. So, like, it turns out that eyewitness accounts and stuff like that are unreliable. And if there's someone involved in it, like Emma, and she's the one giving the information to the police, then I wouldn't trust that. You know, I'd kind of back away. I wouldn't use the main suspect as a source of my information if I was the police. So this is what happened way back. You know, this is what we said way back. And it's all evidence there in the playlist if you go back and watch it. It's all, you know, dated and, you know, every time I do something like that, it's new. I'm not like, oh, hello, I saw this video on someone else's channel and now I'm saying something someone else said. I'm the originator. Go back and check it out. Go back and check it out. It's all there. So we've got that, right? I've gone off on Emma. I've gone to Marsh Farm Hall. You know, I'm not looking at some of these other places now. I'm taking my eye off this and looking at other places. So today what we're going to do, as I keep saying, you know, let the room fill up a bit, let you get here. It's still increasing in numbers. We're still increasing in numbers. Today what we're going to do is we're going to look at these with fresh eyes. I'm trying to look at them with fresh eyes. I remember my feelings at the time, and I will tell you what my feelings at the time were, and then I will go over this with fresh eyes. And I'm going to try and, I don't want to say red flag, because in previous episodes I totally red flagged Emma and Paul. I'm not necessarily going to red flag. We could maybe go over and do some red flagging today, but I'm going to try and be open-minded to the idea that this could be a possibility. And it's important, like I say, I'm not trying to, I should be open-minded to the idea that Penny's a murderer, like when she's an innocent person. Oh, it's bad, that is. But what I'm trying to say is that in a case like this, I think we should examine other possibilities. But, I don't know the exact percentages. I don't need to know the exact percentages. I do know that most women who come to a tragic end in the UK, you know, like most murders are spousal, aren't they? Like, you know, someone close to you, it happens in the home. Like, I also know that the statistics on, like, we're looking at statistics and probabilities and what's most likely. So whilst today I'm going to talk about this caravan park and I'm going to look at these videos and I'm going to red flag them and I'm going to come, you know, I'm going to say, oh, well, this looks, and what about this? All the time, you need to bear in mind that this is only like my 20%. It's up to you what you think, but this is for me like a 20%. The 80% sits with Paul Ansell, Emma White, the affair, the changing the narrative, the controlling the narrative. People like to control narratives, don't they? They think they do. They get found out. You know, the decoy. Paul said the word decoy. I pulled it up on my second episode about the damn case. You know, Paul Ansell, Channel 5 interview. Paul Ansell, red flags. Decoy. Channel 5, decoy. He said it. You know, he said it all those weeks ago. We've been saying it. So it's
raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Christine Catwoman sent tippies. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Thank you, Christine. 5 hugs. That's nice. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So it's important to note, though, like, we could say that, I don't know, like, Rowan Water's a possibility. For me, it's a 10%. We could say that everyone in the area is part of some Truman Show-like campaign to create a psyop. That's like a 1%, maybe less for me, but it could be a percent. Aliens could come down and suck her off into the... I'd like to get sucked off into the alien ship, to be honest. I wouldn't mind getting sucked off in the alien ship. Aliens might come down and suck her off in the alien ship. That could be a 1%. You know, we start to talk about these things, you give them some airtime, and suddenly your 1% is taking up an hour of your airtime, and it seems to people on the internet it's a big possibility. It's not. You know, let's bear that in mind. What's most likely? Take all these things out. Go back to when you last saw Nicola. You've never seen her, you've never met her. So she exists, right? That's why the PSYOP people come in. Oh, well, she exists, doesn't she? Well, yeah, let's assume she does exist because she had a Facebook and a job, and like, you know, there were lots of people in the area who knew her, right? Let's assume she did exist. Go back to the first time she was like, you know, recorded anywhere. Home CCTV, we've seen that, we've looked at it. I think it's been doctored. I will concede some people have pulled me up on this, so I will actually quickly, you know, just quickly. We did videos, CCTV busted. I think it's possible that the see-through foot could be an artifact. I think it's possible that colours could change as artifacts, but I think they should all change together rather than little patches. And I don't think that Paul's head with the cutout is right, though, still. I'd still stand by that. So I'll start, you know, I could be corrected on the CCTV that maybe this or maybe that. But you tell me, you know, when did you last see Nicola? How do you know when she left? Do I know she left the house is where I want to roll it back to. When did she last leave the house? Did Paul murder her in the house and then create this whole facade that she went out for a walk and she went to the school in the morning? And that's where I was on with Emma. You know, I'm repeating myself a little bit now, aren't I? But, you know, I think that Emma and Paul faked the whole day. She was dead before. She might have been killed at Marsh Farm or at home. She's been disposed of in some way, either on the property up in the attic or in a body of water near to the river. And then, you know, that's what I've come up with as my... If you're asking me to put my money on it in the casino, that's where my money's going. And it's not going on a like 50-50 or a maybe, I hope, 10-1. That's going on for me, a very solid 80-90%. That's what happened. Something in that area. Then we can focus in and get narrowed down. But, you know, I would be surprised if a stranger has murdered her, because in the statistics, that would be surprising. It's much, much more likely that her husband's involved, isn't it? So, like we've talked about previous episodes, you know, and all that. Am I getting myself confused now with what I'm saying?
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Get and Lisa sent tippies.
It's
Penny
raining
is
again.
totally
I couldn't
suspect,
be
especially
happier.
as she has issues with dogs and dog walkers. Who got Nicola's car home? Her son is more suspect, Paul have a as he lives close by and she's got empty Super caravans owes for storage of dead bodies. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you for the hugs. Thank you for the tippies. They came in at once there, so I'll try and tell you what they said separately. Penny is totally suspect, especially as she's got a site. Yeah, there's lots of reasons why Penny could definitely, you know, we're going to discuss that today. So yeah, but whether in percentage terms, some woman who has an argument with dog walkers or somebody's husband is more likely to have killed them. It's more likely the husband, less likely the person with the dog walkers. Just look at the statistics. I should really get them up, shouldn't I? You know, but it just is, isn't it? So who got Nicola's car home? Did Paul have a separate car? Owes 3 hugs. Well, no one's... I'm a bit confused by that one, Claire, because if Emma took the car to school and dropped off the kids and went for the dog walk and then left the dog and just disappeared, did a bunk, and then is picked up by Paul, the car just stays at the school. The car was found, wasn't it? That's where the car was found, wasn't it? And we'll get onto that factual aspect of it as to where the car was found, maybe. But that's what was reported, that it was at the school. I haven't seen the CCTV. It's been reported that it's in that car park, hasn't it? Not I heard someone on Facebook say that it was this and it was that. But again, I'm going to have to ask you where you get your facts as well. Not you, Claire, but anyone gets their facts as part of what we do today. So, yeah, hit the like button. Good point, Pat. Hit the like button. If you're watching and you've not subscribed, it's free. If you're watching and you've not hit the like button, if we hit every 100 likes we hit today, I'll give £10 to charity. And I'm going to put £10 in the kitty in the start point, because I think we might have left one out the other day that we missed out. So every 100 likes, we will give £10 to UNICEF. So bang in those likes, get those likes up, money goes to charity. And the views are still, we're still climbing on number of people here. So I'm going to talk about Penny and Ron. I'm going to give them the body language analysis, try and be open-minded, try and see it as a real possibility, almost red flagging them. Going to talk through different ideas about that, but I want to be careful, like I said at the start, to be quite clear. This is not what I think is most likely based on statistics and likelihood and probabilities and realities. Okay, that's not what I think is most likely. Yeah, I think that all makes sense, doesn't it? I think that all makes sense. So should we get into it then? Was there anything else I wanted to give you as a disclaimer before we got started? Was there anything else I wanted to give you as a disclaimer? I don't know, all these other ideas that come up. I wanted to talk about facts, didn't I? I wanted to talk about facts. So all these other ideas that come up sometimes. Maybe do other episodes if I've missed something, but I want to talk about facts. Paul Taylor, follow frame. Hi, bro. I'd like to know who the 2 witnesses were on the towpath. They had problems with the dog on the lead. Was said right at the beginning of the case. This was on This Morning News. Okay, yeah, I'll address that. That was something that AD came up with and talked bollocks about the other day. It was initially reported that that was the case. The police followed up on it and it was said to be nothing. So what will happen in cases like this is initially lots of people say, oh, I think I saw someone who said this and I said this and did we see it? And then they follow it up and it wasn't Nicola after all. It was just some other woman and they were confused. So they get discounted and put in the bin. I don't know exactly how the police discounted it, but the police followed up on it and then put it in the bin. So there's no, the initial report was of a encounter, which somebody on the internet, didn't they? Somebody with their, sensationalism and trying to rope you into their bullshit. Somebody said was an altercation. It's not. It was nothing. It was a nothing burger. A lot of the time, in things like this, in the early stages, the information will be confused and disparate, and then after a couple of days, they follow up and they rule out and they rule in. So there's lots of reasons why that has been ruled out then. I'm going to trust the police, followed it up and ruled it out. She even said in the press conference, the policewoman, that has been ruled out and is hearsay nonsense. So forget that, get that out of your head and stop going on about it, you idiots. It's confusing things, was the policewoman's approach to that. And then some people on the internet just still want to keep pushing non-facts, make-up, hearsay. I heard someone in the village said to somebody at the school, said to somebody on Facebook, and these things come out because there's always someone on the internet somewhere or some rumour and it goes around like Chinese whispers. I will ask you, do you remember the horror stories when you were a kid about the woman who had the dog under the bed and it licked her hand? Where did that story come from? We all know it. It's not real. Like, stories come up and like, in cases like this. Remember Madeleine McCann in The Phantoms? There was like 20 different people who took Madeleine McCann. Like, there can only be one. So like all of these different ideas come up. Unless it can be verified and it's facts, it's not facts. And so I would say that is not facts. And also I would say that, thanks Keely for the $4.99, love the streams, thank you. I would also say that there were a lot of eyewitnesses around this area and none of that is factual evidence of anything. It goes in the maybe box because eyewitnesses are unreliable, aren't they? And we're going to look at one today. We're going to look at Ron. So eyewitnesses are unreliable. We know that from all the other like crime cases in the world ever. And I'd ask you, like I asked you way back, if you go to these lives and you go to my playlist on Nicola Bulley, if anyone's new here, subscribe, it's free, and go and watch this extensive playlist. Way back, I was like, same questions, same map, same comment. I'm not taken in by all this bullshit that's going on in this field. I'm not taken in by it. I'll put it in the maybe box until you've got me a photo. She was on a work meeting, and she was she was connected to it, but she didn't talk on it. So it's not a fact. Show me her leaving the house. Show me Nicola Bulley leaving the house. Oh no, we've got CCTV, but it looks really fucking dodgy. Show me Nicola Bulley leaving the house. Take me back to the facts. Go back to the facts of what last time she was seen. And I'm not even convinced she was at the school. If it's going to be Emma was at the school and saw her there, then bollocks. If it's going to be the kids got dropped off and they must know who their mom is, then bollocks. Did the police talk to the kids? No, not in a missing persons. Oh, and do you remember this as well? When people asked me, why do you think the police are trying to cover it up way back? And I said, because they haven't got the money. Because they've been cut by the Tories and they haven't got the money. I did it as a throwaway comment, but somebody else is making quite a big thing about it. It's funny, isn't it? I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder now, I'm not. It is a little bit annoying, I'll tell you this. It's a little bit annoying when you do interesting stuff on YouTube and then other people watch it and then like take your ideas and then pretend that they've come up with something new. It is a little bit annoying, but you're smart people and you can see through that, so I don't need to keep going on about it, so I won't. I will just let that slide now because imitation is a form of flattery, isn't it? So we had the GoFundMe, all the GoFundMe as well, didn't we? Remember that? Anyway, so should we get into it? Should we look at these two now? We're going to look at the idea that Nicola came down here. There was an altercation. Well, not altercation. That the idea was that was floated. There was people walking with dogs, and there was a entanglement or something with the leads. an encounter. I'm actually going to discount that slightly. I'll tell you what else I'm going to come up with in just a second, but we're going to look at this. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to make up a load of bullshit out of nowhere. Just not going to be able to do that. Not going to be able to say someone in the village said that I think that this said. So we're going to stick to what Penny and what Ron show us and tell us. Okay? We'll start with Penny. This is Curtis Media. And this was really interesting because I remember when this was first broadcast, Curtis started his broadcast from about this moment in, and it got taken down. And I don't know exactly what happened, and I'm not able to talk to Curtis about. We were lining up an interview, but then he got he got the quietness put on him, didn't he? He's not allowed to talk about the case. So big ups Curtis Media, shout out Curtis Media. I remember his broadcast started at this point. There was a verbal confrontation, and then he had to take it down, re-edit it, and start it again. So let's just start from this point where it initially started on the live broadcast, or the premiere that got put up originally.
Go on, you go first.
See, now the thing we've had cut out here is an experience. I don't know if you remember this, and again, I'm having to tell you this now as not a fact, but Curtis will be able to verify this in time. There was a young lad here, and he was out, and he was saying, "Oh, who the fuck are you?" I don't know exactly. I'm paraphrasing. Who the fuck are you? You can fuck off, stuff like that. A young lad, probably a teenager, not an older, like big stocky teenager, but a younger lad, teenager, was out here verbally remonstrating with Curtis. Beaclet Jog, £10 super chat. Penny's narrative of a psyop. I don't know who Penny is. Not how true psyop, i.e. government. She gets half a story like AD, and then they get the IQ put. Yeah. And playing the disabled card is disgusting. Yeah, I found that egregious. We're not going to really, go on about those people on this channel. Really, I've kind of like, I've said a little in between the lines as I have, haven't I? I had my little start rant. It's not a rant, it's just, like I said, it is a shame when people take your work and use it as their own and spin lies and conjecture out of it. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, and I simply won't, or being hated, don't give way to hating. Again, I'll pull people up. I'm going to pull their pants down and smack their bums on the internet if they're bullies, but I'm not going to be a hater. I'm not going to hate on someone for a disability or for something. Do you know what I mean? I'm not angry and hating. Don't look good. Don't talk too wise. If you can dream and not make your dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, it's almost like it's fucking exact, isn't it? It's almost like it's exact. And I'm so grateful that my mentor taught me this when I was young, and it helped me to become the person I am today. I'm so grateful for that. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, stoop and build them up with worn out tools. It goes on. It goes on. That's today's lesson though. I have to bear to hear the truth I've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. I just have to bear it. Like, there are going to be people out there who get sucked in. I'm going to try my best to keep things clear. Keep things clear. So, we're rocking, we're rolling, we're in full controlling, we're on the way now. If chat gets too busy, because we've got a lot in the room, I will give you a slow mode if you like. We've hit 100 likes. If we hit 200, it's another tenner, so it's £20, or it'll be 30 at the end. And we're rocking and rolling, so let's give it a good go. So, I remember this. There was a confrontation. There was a younger person in the confrontation. I believe they have been edited out. And that was the issue, that minors on YouTube, you can take videos of people, you can talk to them, but, oh no, maybe I'm wrong. Look, here they are. Maybe here they are. Maybe here they are. So I don't know what was edited out or what was off. Maybe Curtis one day will be able to tell us, but maybe it was just a small part of it.
Telling them off, look.
Fuck her off.
Calling the police, they might start digging around. Who are you?
That's the lad.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he's turned away here that, it's been able to be broadcast, because I think it's about that lad that got cut out. So you can see his general age, and height and build and everything. You know, he's not massive. He's not, you know, he's got the colourful trainers on and the jacket. He's probably about 14 or so, 15 or something, yeah? Maybe older. I think that was what was edited out. So this is where the broadcast started, then it cut off. And then we got in at the start. So what we got at the start then was this conversation, and we're going to have to get to Penny and this lad, and, you know, I have to tell you about what I think and feel about it. But we had this conversation then with this guy.
Yeah.
And again, he's been blurred out now. So originally, I don't think he was blurred out. And this conversation, I remember seeing his face, although that might be selective memory from me. But
When, you know, happened?
No.
Oh, okay. No, just wondered.
Are you,
We're just walking around having a look. We didn't realise it was open.
do you want to buy a caravan?
I'd love to.
Eh?
I'd love to buy a caravan.
No, it's up for...
so he says it's up for sale, and I can't do his body language now. His face is blurred out, yeah. But the whole concept here was that he was unhappy with his caravan. He was unhappy with paying the site fees. He unhappy with Penny as a landlord, and he wanted out. And he was just trying to lock up, tidy up, and leave. And it was on for sale. And as part of this whole system, you know, you buy a caravan on a caravan site, and you have to pay site fees, and then you, you know, if you want to sell it, you have to pay a percentage to Penny. He's not angry, eggy, like angry, shouty, but he's not happy with any of it. Yeah,
It's sad, isn't it? It is sad. It's
Uh,
a mystery, but it's very sad.
well, it's a mystery, but I think the police have got it wrong totally.
Do you?
Yeah. I think she's been dumped into the water later.
so
It's
he
raining
says,
again. I couldn't be happier.
Bliss sent tippies. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
thank you, Fliss, doing a bit of detectiving look today. So he says,
It's raining again. I couldn't
Someone
be
sent
happier.
tippies. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, someone. There was a tax on it, and we'll talk about this now, right? So, okay, we'll talk about that first. Just the concepts I raised there is that's quite normal in this situation. If you've got yourself into this and it's the contract, you've got yourself into it, you might feel aggrieved because you're losing out on money. You know, you might feel aggrieved on that, and you might feel aggrieved because you haven't got your use and Penny's not been the best or whatever. You know, it comes back to this Wireside Farm reviews, doesn't it? It comes back to this. So I can understand people having a personal grievance on a business deal like that or something like that. This rude, aggressive owner, May 2022. Rude and abrasive, June 2022. It was painting to me the combination of these reviews and this man and his complaint about this was painting to me a picture of Penny is no longer interested in maintaining her caravan site. She's eggy and angry about some of the people that are coming. This man and her, imagine this man's on your caravan site, right? I want to sit you on the other side, right? You've got a little house here in the countryside. It's expensive to pay your mortgage or whatever. I don't know, do I? You've got a caravan site. This is your upkeep then. This is your job. This is your money. Like, so you're going to want to sell these caravans. You're going to want to be fuffing about all the time, like back and forth with the caravan people and stuff like that. It might, if it was me and I was renting these caravans, I might see this guy as the cantankerous one. Oh, he's always on at me about the water. Oh, he's always on at me about the toilets. Oh, he's always on at me about the thing. I'm getting fed up of all these people always on at me about all this stuff. I thought renting out caravans, I was just going to make 10% and sit quietly in my house. But no, I've got to get up again because Mr. Jones is like, fuck it up his toilet again. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to look at this from different perspectives, and as someone who's empathetic, I would encourage you, because I think you are, to think about Penny's side as well, to think about how Penny felt in this situation with strangers on her land turning up, renting them, buying them, and then feeling that she owes them stuff, she owes them service. And she did owe them service. That's what you do in these jobs. But, you know, if you run a pub, you might start out thinking it's great, and then after a while you might start getting rude to the customers if you get fed up with them. I don't know. I just wanted to say, like, from the other side of the fence, I can understand why doing this job might be difficult and annoying for Penny, and why this guy, although he seems like a very nice man, and I'm not in between their arguments, like, it seems on the surface like he's completely innocent of any, oh, I don't know why she won't help me. She's just a bit difficult. I just want to sell and move. But if you step into someone's argument and you've never met either of them, they're both going to be like that to you, aren't they? Like, you can't take someone at face value when they're being like, oh, the other person's the one at fault. Oh, the other person's the one at fault. So I've just got to be careful with this guy. And again, I can't body language him now because his face is blurred out. But I wanted to just say, I did feel sympathy for him. But then people can make you feel sympathy for you, can't they? So I'm not saying he's some crazed narcissist. I'm just saying that he's painting his side of the picture here. And just like these results, yes, we've got a consistency here. Penny here wanted a one-night stop. The owner's rude and aggressive, and so is her grandson. The woman obviously has a big dislike for dogs, is constantly shouting abuse at dog walkers near the site. We've got to take that into serious consideration. It is balanced out by a lot more excellent reviews. And this man on the ground here is the one that wants to sell his caravan, and I'm not talking to the ones that are happy, if there are others that are happy. So you just got to be careful of that. Yes, Holly, you're right. There are other crime reports recorded on allotment lane. That's true. I've got to be careful about only speaking in fact. So I would agree with you that as a fact, but I can't state the inferences that I might want to, although we'll get to that when I talk about that little boy in a bit.
I'll be honest, I don't know about that, but I do think that she hasn't got in the water.
So, just to address this guy's issue with his caravan, it could be 6 of one, half a dozen the other. It could be Penny's really bad at running a caravan site and has given up now and doesn't care. Or it could be that he's a cantankerous bastard and has always made it difficult. Ultimately, they've got a personal issue with each other and he wants rid of the caravan. Yeah. So, that's that business side of things. It doesn't mean Penny's a murderer. It does mean that you could infer, if you wanted to, that she could be difficult to deal with. I'll tell you what as well. I've worked with people like Penny over my years. Like, I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been a kitchen porter. I worked in a lot of kitchens where women were in charge. And, like, not that they're bad people, but a couple of them have been a little bit busybody, a little bit, like, hands-on with everything. And you feel like, God, would you leave me alone to do my job? And they're like, they're like over the top and a bit like difficult and a bit like bossy. And then lots of people around them are all like, oh shit, oh, and they get things done, but like in their way. And it might not always be the right way, but like people might complain and get eggy with them. But like, there's a lot of people out there like that. It doesn't mean they're all murderers, does it? So it doesn't mean they're all murderers. But yeah, coming back to this then, what he's saying, let's do the as they're saying it. He said that he thought that she was put into the river. This is before she was found.
You weren't here when happened?
No.
Oh, okay. No. Walking around having a look, we didn't realise it was open.
Do you want to buy a caravan?
I'd love to.
Eh?
I'd love to buy a caravan.
No, it's up for sale.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much?
Well, I'm after 32,000.
Okay, I've got no idea what caravans are worth.
I don't think that's quite a lot of money for one of them. I don't know.
So.
And Penny gets 15% on top.
15%?
But notice how he's bringing up this 15%. He's like, he's eggy about that.
On top. Yeah.
Who's Penny?
On top.
The site owner.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Oh, because you're selling it on her property.
Yes. As it,
right.
Agreement, she gets 15%.
Got you. That's cool.
Yeah.
We didn't realise it's actual public caravan for people to stay here. We presumed it's like a private
are you
or.
from the press or anything?
No. I do a bit of journalism myself.
Yeah.
But not today. We're just looking around today.
Yeah. Tragedy what happened.
It's sad, isn't it?
And he says, tragedy what happened, isn't it, this guy? So he knows that the press are asking around, and he's asking, are you from the press? And then he's bringing it up. Tragedy, isn't it? So this guy wants to talk about it with the press. And he hasn't got in his car and driven off. There's some people walking around. He hasn't ignored them. Like Curtis has probably, said hi, and stuff like that. But if he didn't want to talk about it, he could have chuffed off. But he didn't. He wanted to put his point across about how Penny is charging him too much money and to talk about this. So.
It is sad. It's a mystery, but it's very sad.
Well.
And he laughs when he says it's a mystery. He laughs. Again, I can't body language the face or anything. I can just go what I can hear now. But he laughs. It's not a mystery. He's laughing. He thinks that's ridiculous.
It's a mystery, but...
There's a shrug of the shoulders. It's a mystery, but... And again, it's really difficult for me to body language a blank face, but he doesn't know. It's a mystery. He's not sure, But
I think the police have got it wrong totally.
he thinks the police have got it wrong totally. You want to come in? I hear you meowing. He thinks the police have got it wrong totally. So he's literally saying that the police got it wrong. This is early stages. So what he's actually saying is she's not gone into the river and drowned, and you know the police said that they're cat. The police said they're working on a hypothesis and all this business, and he thinks they've got that wrong. And he's local, and that's what he thinks.
Do you?
Yeah. I think she's been dumped into the water later.
He thinks she's been dumped into the water later. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because at the moment, she's not been found. So it's exactly what happens, is that later they find her in the water. But he says, I think she's been dumped into the... Like she has already been. It's a bit weird, isn't it, that one?
I'll be honest, I don't know about that, but I do think that she hasn't gone in the water there accidentally.
No.
So then the alternatives are
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, they spent 3 weeks searching the river.
And it's shallow. It's not that
Yeah.
deep around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't have gone over the weir because it was.
This is all common sense stuff that people on the ground there just absolutely accept, yeah? And we've all had to talk about it on the internet for fucking years and weeks, and I haven't gone on about whether she's gone over the weir or not, and I just assume common sense prevails here. Yes, we're not dissecting this aspect of the case tonight, but he's going on about it. He's, you know, this seems to be his common sense, boots on the ground. He lives next to the fucking thing.
Just rang the measuring station upstream of the weir, and you would have at most it was 1 metre.
Coming over the weir, there's only about that much water.
Yeah, a couple of inches. She would never have gone over there.
And just before the weir, around the bend, it's very shallow.
Yeah, that's right. And they would have found her.
They would have.
They would have found her in the first week, easy.
By the bench, it's quite deep, but there's no flow. I put a log in there today and it hasn't moved.
Yeah.
So bear in mind, right, they're having this chit chat. I'm not going to criticise Curtis at all because he's, you know, new to this sort of thing and he's out there doing an absolute pearl of a job, you know, getting this stuff on camera. I would hope he wouldn't lead the witness too much, you know, let the witness talk, but it's okay, you know, he's bringing up concepts and the witness is talking about them. Or not witness, just this guy in the caravan park. But I want to just draw attention to the house, where the windows are, the house. I'm assuming at this point Penny is aware that this conversation is happening. I'm assuming at this point, with people walking about on the land, or because at some point coming up, she comes out of her house. Like, she appears, you know, she comes out and down the path here to talk to him. So in 15 minutes, she's going to appear. So you assume at some point she notices and decides to come out and talk. It's up to you to decide in your own head, and it's just none of us are ever going to know. But do you think Penny's like keen to run out and start confrontating people, or is it that she's not noticed for 15 minutes and then she comes out? I don't know, you know, maybe she only notices later, or maybe she's on the phone to the police at this very moment, like, because the police do turn up, don't they, 15 minutes later. So, you know, we're in view of the house is all I'm saying. So my guess is that Penny is not coming out the house and running down the path to say, who are you right now, but maybe phoning the police.
Directly I think it's quite shallow.
It
might
is.
be deep in the middle.
Yeah.
This is after she was found, question mark, Bonnie Scott. This was, as far as I can remember, not after she was found. I thought this was before she was found. I mean, is this uploaded a month ago? Premiered March the 6th. Hang on. A body was found on 19th of February. Am I tripping? Did this come out after? The body was found on 19th of February. But then was this uploaded and re-uploaded? You tell me in chat. You know, maybe I smoked too much weed. But was this premiered after she was found or before? If it was after, it, you know, body dumped in later, it still just makes sense, doesn't it? A couple of days after she was found. And did Curtis film this after she was found? It's been a while, hasn't it? It was before she was found, says Mimi Lucia. Oh, have we got a one in chat? Have we got one in chat? Adam. Is it about Adam? Have we got Adam in chat? Is Adam causing trouble? He doesn't seem to be. He's just talking about the case and stuff. You know, talking about facts as they see them. A lot of afters, you know, it was right at the case. It was right on the... I remember it being like... Oh God, you know what? It annoys me that we're not allowed to ask Curtis to tell us that... You know, because he could have recorded this and then uploaded it. Like, it annoys me that we're not allowed to ask about, you know, when the police have put that gagging order in place. But let's assume it's after then. Let's assume it's after. He's okay in chat, isn't he, Saz? Yeah, you're okay in chat. You're okay. This was the week after Nicola was found. Okay. Some people think it was before. Like, maybe we've all got selected, like that funny memory thing that happens where you assume certain things. We're only human, aren't we? We're only human.
Yeah. I don't believe it. I'll be honest. I don't.
No,
I don't know what's happened, but I don't think she went in there.
Supposedly the post-mortem
Yeah, it'll be after. This is after.
came up with like she's not. There was no suspicious
Yeah.
things.
I know they're doing an inquest, aren't they, to just figure out whether there's anything else.
Yeah, look, they talk about the inquest. It's after. Sorry, I made a small mistake there as a as a human being, which I'm quite prone to do. So that's fine.
Yeah,
Evidence-wise in the body or whatever, but
I reckon she's been put in after downstream of the weir.
yeah,
Once they've finished all the searching, she's gone in there.
somewhere maybe not there, maybe somewhere just down there a little bit, maybe out the way.
Yeah. But the police are probably telling lies because they wanted to have been in that water
Yeah.
all the time.
They do.
So this man's saying this right at the time, and I remember saying this as well. Like, the police can't afford the case. If you come to me and say it's a missing persons, I'm not going to turn it into a murder because that's going to cost me loads of money. I'm going to have to get all these things going. You know, so instead, it's going to be a missing persons, and it's going to be a missing persons until we have to. Like, I've been saying that for absolutely since the start. This guy said it as well, so it's nothing new there.
That's the thing.
She may well have been in water. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily.
If somebody has done that,
Yeah.
you'd think they're going to be clever enough to have kept her somewhere in water.
Yeah.
I think it's Dream Big's asked, or it's made a point here, facts or content. I'll tell you what's interesting is I'm a media producer on YouTube, so I make content. I don't have to deal in facts, but when we're talking about someone's death and someone's mom and like two little girls have lost their mom, I'm not going to make videos saying like, oh, maybe this today, or maybe that tomorrow, or last week I thought this, and then I think this CCTV absolutely proves it because I'm friends with Jizzy, and then obviously the CCTV's fake, and then I need a new video today because I want to go and play poker. I just can't be in that, yeah? I want to make videos about all sorts of stuff on the internet, and sometimes it's just going to be content. Like, sometimes it's just us having a laugh. Like, our content, again, I'll quickly show you my channels and reiterate to anyone that's just quickly watching, subscribe to Super Chuffer For You. Go to the channels there and subscribe to Super Chuffer For You. That's a new clips channel of stuff that we talk about on tangents on other streams. Go on, cat, then. So we've got all sorts of interesting other content. Yeah, I make content, but when I'm talking about people's lives and facts and a murder, I think it's a murder. Like, when I'm talking about that, then I'm going to say it's really important that I don't, like, just for my own ethics, just because like these little girls might see these videos about this stuff that went on in their lives when they were little, and you know, just for that, I just think we should just deal in facts and like try and be really clear about what's facts and what's hearsay and bullshit. The Mandela effect, little Miss Know-It-All, that probably was the Mandela effect. Yeah, we're humans, aren't we? It's lovely. Sarah says Jason Dean Rothwell found another drowning victim. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, I don't think he did, Sarah. Again, that's another one. I like you, you know, we're friends. I'm not having a go at you, but he says that, Jason says that, because it bolsters him as a psychic. Oh, I find dead bodies. But there's no evidence to say Jason ever found another dead body, ever. I haven't found any, and no one's ever shown me any. So, you know, that's the sort of facts I will or won't deal with. Do you know what I mean? Like, somebody says this and says that, and then, you know, someone says that they did or didn't, and like, I remember we did that episode on him. I looked it up. I couldn't find it. I found out all about that Michael who went in the river. And do you remember? I mean, just quick diversion while we're saying about it. Michael River Wire. It's all Nicola Bulley stuff, isn't it? This lad called Michael went in the river. He was on the gay club scene. I assume. I can't guarantee he was gay, but he was on the club scene, and so was Jason Dean Rothwell at the time. They might have even been taking the same drugs and out on the same parks, having the same party. So there's more chance of having pushed the fucker in and fished him out. Anyway, dealing that's not a fact. What I just said then. But we're back to this. Maybe one of the little gullies off the river, pipes or whatever, to make everyone believe that it's The
other thing, they should have searched this caravan site, done a forensic.
He's absolutely right. I remember we went over this at the time, or did we go over this at the time? They should have absolutely searched forensically this caravan site. Yes. So this now opens up this caravan site. He's just told us this has not been forensically searched. So now I can say, because I remember saying, we watched a video and there were two police walking down the path and they were like searching the site. So I can say now that this is open now. Yeah, this is all on the table, isn't it? Like, it's possible that Nicola could have been dragged off this bench into this caravan site, or never made the bench, had an argument over here somewhere and got dragged into the caravan site. That would logistically have to mean that she did go on, drop the kids off, come down this path, and then had a row and decided to either follow the row up and go up the path. Like, for Nicola to have gone up the path, she would have to either have decided to go for someone and chase them up the path. Her dog maybe have got off and run up the path. Unlikely if she's always having a row with this woman about this, if this woman's always eggy about it. Or someone's dragged her up there. Or this one, this is allotment lane, isn't it? Goes round here and comes down here. So, like, are we saying that somebody dragged someone up, dragged someone behind the houses, dragged them off up to the caravans? This is quite a lot to do. I think I do go back to my initial thoughts of, is it possible that no one else, all these witnesses that claim they might have seen Nicola wandering around, didn't see somebody getting bashed on the head and carried up the path, in the middle of the day? How many times do you see people or hear of people getting bashed on the head and, carried up to caravans in the middle of the day? So I personally, I'm like, well, it's possible, but unlikely possible that this could have been, but it's on the cards now because it wasn't forensically searched, which seems like a huge mistake. Again, it's about cost of case and it's about police desire. If he's come to you as a missing person, you've got no desire to forensically search any caravans, have you? You'd much rather this was a missing person than a murder. Like, if it was a murder and a crime scene, then this would all be, the cost. I haven't got the money.
They should have, yeah. They did search it, but it was like 2 weeks later, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it would be a case, somebody had been in this, right?
Yep.
Because I could tell, I came the other week.
Somebody had been in this one, he says, and it makes it sound, somebody's been in it. Well, that's good because they're searching it, so you'd hope they'd been in it.
I could tell because we have like a fly screen with wooden bobbles on.
Yep.
And one of them was broken. Now, I always make sure that they don't get broke. So somebody's been in.
Right. Somebody's been in, yeah. Yeah, but we just established the police did come here and have a look around. So it could easily be the police. That's non-fact. Like, you're not saying, somebody's definitely, it's a burglar.
I mean,
it could be Penny.
Before they actually searched the site.
Oh, it's before they searched the site. Okay, in that case, somebody could have been in. It could be Penny. It could be the little boy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So somebody had been through that.
Somebody had been
You
in.
knew.
It may have been the site owner. I don't know.
I've got you.
Somebody had been in.
But also, if it's involved with a murder scene and someone's broken into your caravan and used it for a murder, then you'd expect that you wouldn't just be like, the fly screen's been dislodged, but everything else is exactly as I left it. That's where I left that half a reel of murder rope, and that's where I left the used gaffer tape. So that looks normal. Like, no.
So what was it? A curtain with the bubbles on?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, wooden ones, and one of them got crushed.
So you knew somebody had been, but obviously because you knew.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
But had the police been, they could have seen that probably.
I phoned the police up.
Did you?
The first week.
Right.
And they said, have you been and searched the caravan site? Because it's literally directly where it happened.
I just presume they
Where it happened, assumed.
had. I looked at it and I thought,
But interesting that he says this, and I can't do the body language because no face, but where it happened. I think he's gesturing for, space between there and here. It could be here, but it's also a gesture towards himself, like, something like, could somebody have been suffocated by something, like, it's a strange gesture in a way. And where it happened, like, it's like a statement of fact that this is a thing that happened here.
And got crushed.
so you knew somebody had been, but obviously because you knew.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it would tap me right out if this guy had murdered her. He wants to sell his caravan. I'm just saying this now, right? I just, having a chit chat now. This is like, time out for a minute. This is just me having a chit chat. This is no facts. Wouldn't it tap you out if this guy had murdered her? And like Curtis had spoken to him, and like there was stuff in the back of that car that was crime scene stuff, and he was like, the police never searched here, so like just tidied everything up myself, and I'm getting off. Do you know what I mean? I want to sell this now. Definitely not coming back here after I murdered a dog walker. Like, lay in wait. But of course, it's not really that possible, is it? Because Penny would have said, oh, he's been here all week laying in wait. I've been keeping an eye on him, and he's been out there laying in wait a lot.
But had the police been, they could have seen that probably.
I phoned the police up.
Did you?
The first week.
Right.
And they said...
I haven't done what the police have seen, Patricia. I haven't had a good look at what the police published, so we're going to do that as another episode on this. We're going to look at the police. We're going to look.
Have you been and searched the caravan site? Because it's literally directly where it happened.
I just presume they had. I looked at it and I thought, they've got
No, it's like body language wise, and again, like, it's hard, but body language wise, it's like he's saying, she was there and brought to here. She was there and brought to here, and this is where it happened.
to have looked round there, surely.
And, I don't think they have. I said, well, are they going to search it? Oh, I don't know. I mean, they're pathetic, the police.
So when they turn...
I'm saying that this guy's easily ruled out, though, by just like knowing his whereabouts in the days and weeks leading up to it, and because Penny runs the caravan site and he's been having a row with her about selling his caravan, she might be able to confirm whether he was or wasn't. Like, he might not have even been here. Like, he might have not been in this caravan during the whole time Nicola Bulley went missing, So he might be completely exonerated.
Turned up. They turned up, was it 2 weeks later? That was the first time they'd been round?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I think it was that later than that.
I suppose, though, if in their head they're sure of what's happened, they're not going to look at it. They'll be like, oh, yeah, we should search it as a format.
In terms of body language that I can read, like someone's put in chat, he doesn't look like a murderer. You can't tell what murderers look like until they're bashing your face in with a hammer. But you can analyse their behaviour. Like, that's why dangerous narcissists are so dangerous. And that's why bad narcissists with their crazy egos are so dangerous. But this guy, I'll tell you one thing in his favour, he is fiddling with this little box. He's got his car keys, he's ready to go off. But he's standing here and having a conversation with Curtis. Like, if you'd done a murder, you probably wouldn't want to talk to this. Like, do you remember at the very start I said, he asked, are you with the press? He said, this thing's been a tragedy, hasn't it? Like, he brought it up. He went to Curtis and, he has not declined the conversation with Curtis Media. He's engaged in it. So I think this feels honest and less like somebody who's done a murder in a different way to the way Emma presented herself to the media and wanted to be spokesperson. I think this is someone who feels that, and again, it's hard to read without face, but maybe, he wants to undermine what the police are doing and explain that he doesn't think they're doing a good enough job is his point here, and he feels like this is an opportunity for that to be heard and maybe shared amongst the world. So he was prepared to share this. So,
but she's not there. But if something's a mystery,
you could see she's in the river, right?
Mickey Link says, I'm not even convinced the so-called witnesses did actually see Nicola that morning. Yeah, exactly. Like, we did it again. I'll quickly on my playlists for anyone who's new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and make sure you check out this big long playlist. When we go back to the very early videos where we did the red flagging and looked at this stuff, there's no, like, if you saw someone in a field with a dog like Willow and you knew Nicola a bit because she's a woman from the pub and there was a blonde-haired woman that was Emma, but was dressed in the blonde hair and had done her makeup differently, but it was Emma, and she just had the hood up, and she was looking on the phone with the thing, and she had the phone like this, and then you'd just be like, I saw Nicola with the dog. Even if you got close and the dog said hello, like when I say hello to people on my dog walk, I just like say hello to the dog. I'm like, oh, hello, little doggy, nice to see you. And then we walk off. If that person wasn't quite that person because they were wearing a different hat or had something on their face and the police asked me, I would probably just say, yeah, I saw them yesterday. Pretty sure, because of the dog and the, you know, it's, and then we know that eyewitnesses are unreliable, full stop. So they're not, that isn't CCTV set in stone. Here's a photograph of it. That's just somebody said they think maybe. So yeah.
And that,
But what if?
that post-mortem that they'd done, I think even if it proved that she hadn't been in the river all that time.
They have to go with it, really, don't they? Now they have to.
Because they're in
have to
deep
cover it up.
shit, aren't they?
They have to cover it up, really, don't they? They have to
going on
really.
about, oh, she's in the river all this time. And
That's Curtis's assertion about covering it up. I would hope that the coroner is going to be independent and that through inquest they are not going to be able to cover it up because public outcry. But it's quite possible, as you look back into the history of policing, that a lot of these crimes don't get solved. And it's quite possible, you know, it could be a Madeleine McCann, couldn't it? And the police do now have, like, they're not going to be able to go back and cover the crime scene again. So their faults will be out in the open. So they're not going to, yeah, I kind of agree with that myself. I'm not saying that they would necessarily go out of their way to specifically like hide and cover necessarily, but simply that the job has not been done. And when the coroner's verdict comes back, I'm saying it's going to come back as an open verdict. So in that case, they're then going to say, well,
I'm not convinced that she's been there for 3 weeks with the amount of switching that's...
The amount of attention it's had.
Yeah.
And it's not far from there to where she was found. I've walked it. It's not that far.
Yeah.
In chat, someone said there that Jason was assaulted recently. I would just quickly point out, at no point am I inciting people to go and assault anyone. And I know you're not accusing me of that, but also I don't know that as a fact. You're just saying it in chat. And also, from what I can see of Jason, if you go back and look on our playlist, Jason appears there. He found her, and we watched his videos, his character. I'm sure it's not the first time he's been assaulted.
And then once
not for 3 weeks.
Once the top section, she suddenly turns up.
Right by the road as well.
Yeah. Crying shame. Right?
It is. Well, hopefully we managed to...
See, I think this man is a nice man. You know, time out, we have a little, conversation, but I think this man is a nice man. He seems genuine. I can't do the body language because he hasn't got a face anymore, but yeah, the one thing he is concerned about was Penny's not very nice to me and the money, but what he didn't do was to allude to the idea that Penny might have murdered anyone. You might notice that. He says, I think this and I think that, and if he thought Penny, like he's already mentioned, but he's going to say, isn't he? He's not going to say, like, oh, maybe someone dumped her in, maybe someone round here's got a bit of a, like, he hasn't said anything like that.
To get some answers at some point for her, for the family,
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't see anybody around here is going to say anything, even if they know stuff. I think they're keeping quiet. And
I mean, there are all these caravans.
Yeah.
Locked up.
I didn't realise there were so many.
For winter.
Are they occupied? Oh, they're empty, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Empty.
Right.
It's the 1st of March was the caravan site opened.
But we did look at this and we said that the location of those caravans was higher up here, and that if you had these pods down the bottom, it would be closer to the bench area. And if you're going to go through this allotment lane and all that, yes, there are these caravans, but you're basically going through a semi-residential area to get to them. And what you're doing, you're taking a dog walker off the street and dragging them into a caravan. Yeah, I don't really jive with that as a feeling, but yeah, carry on.
In theory, somebody could have used the caravan if they knew how to get in or something. Oh yeah. What are they for? Are they for staying in as well for people?
Yeah.
Okay, they're nice. Didn't know they were there.
They're the pods, yeah, down the bottom, much more likely.
Yeah, it's quite a nice place, really. I didn't realise there were that many caravans on here. But,
I can't tell you. How about an estate jag, gold colour? I can just see in that. A small boat.
So you keep your caravan on here, but you don't live in it, you rent it out? Or do you live there?
No, we use it during the summer.
It's a holiday thing.
Open.
And then when you sell it, because it's on her land, she takes 15% of the sale. That's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who else owns it? Penny owns it, and who is it? Somebody else there?
Again, I'd be careful. I'd be cautious of just feeling like she's mean here. Like, this is her business. Like, he's got into the contract. Like, it's it's his choice.
No,
The two of them?
Penny Fletcher owns the caravan site.
Ah, I've never been in. I didn't have no idea. I just seen it from the outside. It's a nice place.
Yeah.
Do you think she'll talk? Do you think she'll come out and talk, or?
She's going to come out.
To be honest.
I would, to be quite honest, I would steer well clear of her.
Why?
Because one of the reasons
A bit
that we're
feisty. Oh.
selling this caravan
Yeah.
is because of the way she's treated us this last 2 years.
Really?
So he's not happy with the treatment over the last 2 years again. So this thing comes up again, yeah? This thing comes up again. Not happy with the treatment. Unhappy. Rude and aggressive owner. It doesn't necessarily mean that he thinks she's a murderer, and he hasn't. Like, this is like a separate part of a conversation now. It's like we came to the end of the conversation about Nicola and a murder, and now he's bringing up Penny's quite difficult and I need to sell this caravan, so she might come out and have a go at you. Oh, she's difficult. So I don't think he's connecting the two, and he's there on the scene with the caravan and all that. I don't think he's connecting Penny as the murderer himself. I can't see his face, but...
Why? What's happened?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Oh,
And that's why I want to move.
right.
We'd been here, what, 7 years?
Yep.
We got on okay for about 5 years, you know.
Also, like, Nicola's not the biggest person in the world, but you can see him and his frame and his size and stuff. And I would argue that it would be difficult for him to manhandle Nicola into a caravan. And for anyone to manhandle someone into a caravan in open ground like this would be a task, so to speak. So I don't see him capable of that necessarily, but
Okay, long time, man.
people are capable of stuff, aren't they? But not this guy. I'm not suggesting this guy has done that. I'm just saying, like,
Started off
generally with this caravan
with
setup.
a little tourer,
Yep.
a little 2-bed touring caravan.
Okay.
And we ended up with this caravan here.
Yep.
And then we put this on.
Right.
And this is just an empty site. So as long as we've been coming in.
How is it? So how can we?
He says that as a point, like, as in, like, it was an empty site, so it's better now that we've put our caravan here. So she should be grateful.
Fell out then? Not fell out, but
It's
money.
nothing to do with it. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Are you local? Are you from around here? Or you,
Bolton, way.
do you feel at all that the locals don't like people that aren't local around here? They tend to have just a little bit of a.
No, they're alright.
They're all right though.
Yeah, no problem.
Sometimes in villages you can get that, can't you? They.
Yeah, well, it's all the inbreds into it.
Ah.
Come on, Penny.
So you don't want to buy this. So
Why don't you stay? Stay.
There's
Where
been
did
edits as well, hasn't there? So maybe it's been longer than 15
Go and have
minutes.
a word and sort whatever it is out, and sometimes talking can help.
no, not in this case.
Oh dear.
It's just a shame, really. I mean, the end caravan, they moved out because they had issues with
Same issues with Penny.
the site owner. This caravan that used to be here,
Yeah.
Penny just came round one day. They had a Dalmatian dog. No problem, always on a lead. Huh?
Right.
And she just says that dog's got to go off site. So they said, well,
Doesn't like dogs, no?
No, don't like dogs. If the dog's going, we're going, and they took the
Yeah, of
caravan
course.
with them.
Of course. Well.
That's a bit strange. I mean, it's probably in the rules, isn't it, if you're allowed pets or not, or whatever. But we've now got 2 accounts of her having problems with dogs. Dalmatian's a bit of a bigger dog than a spaniel, but we have got 2 reports. This is a bit vague. I mean, it's vague. What am I saying? This is a review on TripAdvisor, so it's not a witness report. But we now have a witness report of Penny not liking dogs.
You know, and I think it's something like nearly a 2-year waiting list for caravans.
Why doesn't she like dogs? I mean, I'm not a dog person, but I'm not.
She's got a dog.
Oh.
She's got a dog, so that seems to contradict it. Maybe she does like dogs, so maybe it's just a way of her leveraging power, so she can say, you're not allowed on here with your dog, so you've got to go. Maybe she does like the dog, but she uses it as a tool there. I don't know.
Shame, because it was such a lovely site, lovely atmosphere.
It's peaceful, isn't it? It's quiet.
I mean, there's only been one person here this last day, other than me. Yeah, it's a crying shame.
We've hit the 200 likes, so we're going to be giving £20 to charity
yes,
today.
yes.
30, sorry.
Sometimes people are just like that, aren't they? And
Yeah,
they push everyone out eventually.
yeah.
Sometimes this happens. You know.
Yeah.
Get it everywhere, really, but
Yeah,
Well-
we wouldn't move for the.
that bad, is it?
We're sort of just waiting
fine,
around
yeah.
now, aren't we, for Penny? So I'm just going to skip it on a little bit.
You,
'Cause
you made me curious
She'll
about
probably
what she's
chase you
like.
off the side.
Just
we'll-
enough time to reach you and go back.
Yeah.
But not.
Um,
Was she quite old then?
80s, yeah.
Oh wow. Damn, I
bit
didn't
of
know she was
chit-chat.
old. What's she look like? Old, young?
She's, I think, in her 80s.
Oh,
She's
quite
in
old
her
then.
80s.
Oh wow. Damn, I didn't know she was that old.
I don't know many people in their 80s who are necessarily capable of murdering someone, in, like, you know, younger and fitter than them. But no.
I think it's that girl, young girl.
Yeah, crying shame.
It is very much.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to the funeral?
No, I'll be in Spain. I'll be in Spain
Spain,
tomorrow. No, Tuesday.
living the good life, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Here we
No,
go.
I didn't
So
knock. No. We just wanted to have a walk around.
Curtis puts his hand over the camera. I can understand why. You know, I'm not dissing Curtis for this, but at the same time, when I'm filming, you can put your hand over the camera, but I'm not putting my hand over it. Like, there have been situations where I've been filming and like they'll be like, "Is it on?" And I'm like, "No, absolutely not." Thinking, "Fucking hell! I hope they don't see the coloured lights at my end because definitely staying on." Like, yeah. But.
Go on, you go.
Now, Penny, she's got a reason to come out. There's this man, you know, these two with their cameras could be justifiably buying the caravan or something. But she's also got a reason, you know, she can talk to this man. She knows who he is. He's getting in his car now. He's scared of her. But she's quite brave to come and, like, with all the Nicola Bulley stuff going on, with all the, you know, like, she quite straightforwardly says in a minute that she knows who Curtis Media is. So she's quite brave to come out, isn't she, in a way? Quite brave to do this. Like, it is her property, but yeah.
No.
While she comes out and starts talking, I'm just going to quickly bathroom break. You get to see her run. You know, you get to see it for a second, then I'll come back and break it up.
We just wanted to have a walk around. Go on, you go. Sorry, we came in. Yeah, let me come and talk to you.
You aren't in a vehicle, so who are you? You TikTokers, are you?
No, we don't do TikTok. No, we actually, technically we do journalism. Technically,
You're the barber job, aren't you?
I'm the barber. Yes.
Yes, thought you were.
Did you read the
Okay.
media? Did you?
Yeah, go on, off you go. Off you go.
We actually came on just to look around how big it is. That's what it was.
Private. What do you think you're doing?
Because it was open, we walked in,
It's
and
not open.
this gentleman here said a lovely lady owns it. If
Right.
she's here, she'll
Go
talk
on,
to
off
you.
you go. Off you go. Go on, both of you.
So you got no words to say, no?
No, nothing
No,
to say
no.
about anything. No, I suppose he had.
No, he
Yeah,
just said he's selling his caravan.
Come on, off you go.
We are going, don't we? We're going, don't we? Look, you see how it's open. That's why we walked in, and we thought you'd come out initially, but we didn't see you. So yeah. Anyway, you do realise what the media write is not always accurate, right?
Everyone lies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know
off
that,
you
right?
Go. Go on.
Do you have anything to say about Nicola Bulley?
Nothing at all.
Nothing?
Go on, nothing at all.
What about the dogs? Do you like dogs?
Go on, off you go.
Okay.
Do you like dogs? Okay, let's take that back. So when she first comes out, we can't quite exactly hear what she's saying, but
No. We just wanted to have a walk around. Go on, you go.
I think she says, "Who are you?"
Sorry, we came in. Yeah, let me come and talk to you.
And she's stopped coming forward now. Notice this as well. She's come to what she sees. This path is obviously some sort of thoroughfare, and so she's prepared to come to the corner of her property here, and she's sort of marking out her, like, this is me and my space, and I'm prepared to come and confront you, but I don't want to be coming down and getting in your face and having a row. I think she's also a little bit timid. There's two gentlemen. She's come out to confront them, and they've come starting to walk towards her, so she's decided to stop. Like, it's a bit of midway point for Penny. Like, she's confident and she's aggressive is probably the right word, but not like, you know, I would expect, or I'd hope that people should feel confident if there are people on their property, like in this situation, to come out and say, you know, who are you and what's going on. But she's not going to be so aggressive as to run up and get in their face. I mean, maybe that's a controlled decision because she thinks she's on camera and she doesn't want to run up and get in someone's face and look like a total nut job on camera. It's certainly a reticence to be completely yourself, you know, for two reasons, like many different reasons why this could be. It might be that she hasn't even seen the camera and she just thinks there's two men here, and I don't know about getting too close to these two men, you know.
You TikTokers, are you?
You're TikTokers, are you?
No, we don't do TikTok. No, we actually, technically we do journalism.
She had her hands in her pockets as they approach.
Technically.
You're the barber job, aren't you?
And when she says you're the barber job, I love that. I actually find it really funny. A barber job. You're the barber job. I think she means, like, you know, she's seen Curtis. He's recently been presented in the mainstream media. At this point in the story, he'd recently been presented in the mainstream media as like TikTok ghoul, you know, and what have you. And they'd revealed where he used to work as a barber or whatever. So she's obviously seen that. She's recognised him, and she said, "You're the barber job." And I just like the turn of phrase. I don't know why, like barber job week, barber job. I don't know. It just seems like a fun turn of phrase. But the way she says it isn't like horrible and aggressive either, isn't it? It's, you get a little bit of body language as he approaches.
No, we actually,
She stood very still.
Technically, we do journalism.
And when she notices, she taps her chest herself. Oh, I know who you are. Oh, I think she might be feeling a little bit nervous at this point. She's got her hands in pockets. She's an 80-year-old woman. She does look like the sort of person that works on a farm, in that she looks like she might be capable of, like, you know, mucking out the cows or doing this and that. She looks like the sort of person who gets hands on, doesn't she? She doesn't, like, she's out there in a jumper and her boots, and you know, I don't know that about her. You know, I just assume if you have this land and this property and these horse boxes and this and that going on, and, you know, whatever. I don't know if it's a horse box, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Technically.
You're the barber job, aren't you?
You're the barber job. And she sort of takes a step back. Curtis appears to be carrying on past her, doesn't he? Like up the path. So now she's going to sort of escort them along and out. She's going to go with them. She's still got her house door open. She's left the door open. I don't know if that's so she can beat a hasty retreat, or if she always leaves the door open when she comes out to talk to people, or if there's someone else in the house. But you're the barber job, aren't you?
I'm the barber, yes.
Just thought you were.
Did you read the media, did you?
And she's ushering them out, you see. She's ushering them out. Okay. That's immediately enough for her. Right? She's, okay, don't want to talk to you. Have no interest in this. You could see that as quite defensive, but also I feel like it's almost above it. Like, she thinks of all this as nonsense. She's not interested.
Yeah, go on, off you go.
Go on, off you go. Hands go back into pockets.
Off you go.
We actually came on just to look around
Yeah,
how
I'm not getting a full view of her all the time here, so it's kind of difficult. But
how big it is. That's what it was.
What
this is surprise.
do you think you're doing?
It's private. What do you think you're doing? And the way she says it reminds me of like a school teacher or someone who's like telling people off. She's got a point, hasn't she? Like, she's not engaging about anything. Like, she knows what they want. She knows what they're interested in. The Nicola Bulley case. Yeah. She knows that. And she doesn't want them all messing around by caravans. So I can understand that. We've got a track record of someone who doesn't put up with people messing about around by the caravans, to the point where people who actually rent the caravans feel they're quite annoyed by her. But this could be complete. Like, if I was red flagging it, I'd say, well, she doesn't want them sniffing around the caravans, does she? But at the same time, like, does anyone want anyone sniffing around their, like, this is my house?
Because it was open, we walked in,
It's
and
not open.
this gentleman here said a lovely lady owns it. If she's here, she'll
Go on,
talk to
off
you.
you go. Off.
She's almost laughing at that. She's like holding back a smile there. There's almost like a bit of rapport between her and Curtis. You're the barber job, and then he's not been cowed by her attitude. Like, with some ladies like this, again, I'm going back to my own feelings because I've worked with people over the years. Like, if you if someone's being a bit bolshy around you and then you're like, you know, shrunk into your little shell, then they think, oh, you're a little ninny. But if you're just like talking to them normally and not like cowed by it, then they kind of think, all right, you know, I'll stop being so bolshy. I get you. I get it. It's not working on you. And like, there's almost like a sort of bit of banter, yeah, like a bit of rapport building, and like, I feel like she's dealt with boys before, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like there's almost a school mom sort of approach to it, where a bit of camaraderie can get you a long way, as well as being, you know, confrontational. This guy's certainly not being confrontational, keeping his hands in his pockets, not even looking at her. Eye contact, not like, this guy feels uncomfortable at this confrontation. Certainly doesn't want to be going and getting in a confrontation with Penny. I imagine he's here so that if any confrontations are had, like, he's back up for Curtis. So he's not here to like rough up some 80-year-old woman, and he just feels a little bit uncomfortable.
Off you go on, both of you.
So you got no.
And he's even smiling himself. Look, in this frame, he's smiling, she's smiling. So it's that, like I said, it's that rapport. It's that, you know, all right, you know, I've come out to shout at you, and you know I'm supposed to be shouting at you, but no one really is doing any shouting. And like, you both know the rules, and like, come on, off you go. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, there's no real aggression from Penny here. There's no true aggression. She's smiling at this point. He's smiling about it. There's no, like, you get the feeling that there's no like bad vibe going on here. Like, no one's getting like a tension moment.
You got no words to say, no.
And she feels more confident to walk into their space now and like walk them off as well, because of that icebreaker. You're the barber job, or I know who you are. Like, now the idea that these men are going to attack me, or these bad TikTokers are sniffing around, you know, that's all out the window. Now it's just, let's walk them off.
No, nothing to say about anything.
No, nothing to say about anything. She's fed up. Like, you can hear it in her voice. No, nothing to say about anything. Like, how many times have I had to tell these people? I've been exasperated by it, she is.
Go on, both of you.
So you got no words to say, no?
No, nothing to say about anything. No, I suppose he had.
I suppose he had. Right, and here's a big tell. That's a big tell. I suppose he had. So to her, remember what I was saying earlier, imagine you're Penny and you've got this guy living on your property. To her, he is the cantankerous man. He's the difficult one. And she's like, well, I suppose you've already been getting, like, you've heard it from him. She imagines that what these people have been saying about her, it's like, imagine people are talking to you down the end of your drive, and it's that man and he's talking about you and he's telling them all this shit. Filling their head with all this nonsense. Like, you'd be eggy about that man. And you'd think, these two have probably come up to see what a bastard I am now. You know, there's already like a premise set, so she's angry about the man that's renting the caravan.
He just said he's selling his caravan.
Come on, off you go.
We are going.
And Curtis says he's just said he's selling his caravan, and she knows that's bollocks. Like, I mean, not bollocks, but she didn't reply to it or anything, but in her mind, she's saying, yeah, I bet that's what he said. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Don't worry. We're going, don't worry. Look, you see how it's open? That's why we walked in, and we thought you'd come out initially, but we didn't see you. So, yeah, anyway. You do realise what the media write is not always accurate, right?
Curtis, realising that she has seen him in the media, is now trying to, you know, defend his position that they're painting him out to be a bad person, and he's not, which is a fair point.
Everyone lies.
Exactly.
She was going to say they're all liars, but then she changed it to everyone lies. So it did come up in chat, is that a clue? Everyone lies. But including her? No, I don't think so. They're all was going to be the first statement. They're all liars. But then I think she felt that was too directly personal. They're all liars. The News of the World, the Daily Mail, they're all liars. So knowing that they're on her back, she doesn't want to be in public on camera saying they're all, so everyone lies is a bit more of a blanket statement, which is not pointing a particular finger at anyone in particular, so it's not as aggressive. So what she's done here is she was going to be slightly more aggressive, and she's toned her aggression down for the camera maybe, or for a public image, or for whatever, you know, as a self-defense. But they're all liars has turned into everybody lies. Bit more of a softening of that statement.
Clear, you know that, right?
Go on.
So she's agreeing with that. Like,
do you have anything to say about Nicola Bulley?
Nothing at all.
This is a bit of a strange one. You don't often see people do that with their hands. No, nothing at all, showing the palms. I think this could be read as a display of innocence, because you're showing that I've got nothing up my sleeves, nothing in my hands. I've got nothing to hide. but it also could look like you've caught me red-handed and, you know, hands up, the police are here, you know, do you know what I mean? Showing the palms of one's hands is a low confidence position. I'm going to ask the Google as well. I'm just, you know, if I was offline, I would do this. So I'm just going to do it online and just be honest. Google, can you tell me hands up body language? Can you give me any other ideas on that? Palms offered upwards are a plea gesture, as if asking for arms. Yeah, like this. Yeah, like please, like can you help? But that might also be palms up like this. They're talking about asking for arms, I think. Begging, that's what they're talking about. So that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking like, 'cause it's a really strange one, isn't it? Yeah, here's an idea. That it's like protecting, no, please back off. Defense, isn't it? This thumbnail appears to have it, so I'm going to click this.
People think Lennon.
No. I mean, this is just someone else's opinion on it as well, so like second opinion sort of thing. Show me. I don't want to know about watches. I want to know about. Here we go.
Conditions that any man can use. First up, open hands. This is all about honesty. It's
Honesty, showing your hand. Yeah, I said that. Showing your hands. Yeah, showing your hands.
showing your hands, showing that you have nothing in your hands.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not going to attack the other person. Next up, we've got open arms. This is showing you've got nothing to hide. Now,
so this is honest again. This is honest.
Don't go overly crazy here unless that is your intention. But open arms, it signals, I want to bring you in. I am open.
So I'm agreeing then with what I said, or he's agreeing with what I said. It's nice to have a second opinion. We're saying this is nothing to hide. So at first you might, oh, like police, you know, no, but no, this is, I've got nothing to, you asked me directly about Nicola Bulley, and I've got nothing to hide. Is what I would read that as. Like, if I wanted to red flag it, I would say, it looks like you've caught me red-handed, Gov. The minute you talked about Nicola Bulley, her hands went up, and that's really different. Yeah, it is. Because I think she's quite anxious about that, because we all know that that's what we're talking about. That's why Curtis is there. Like, no one's trying to buy a caravan. She's trying to usher you off the site. No, she hasn't got anything to say. About what? About Nicola Bulley. I've got nothing to hide. I don't think it's the sort of body language that she's pre-planned. If someone says Nicola Bulley, I'm going to do this because then it's going to prove I've got nothing to hide. I don't think that. I just think it was instinctive.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
Go on.
Do you have anything to say about Nicola Bulley?
Nothing at all.
Nothing?
Go on, nothing at all.
What about the dogs? Do you like dogs?
And that throws her a little bit. What about the dogs? Do you like dogs? Like, she looks a bit concerned by that. Like, what are you talking about? What? Like, I wonder whether she doesn't understand the context of the question. Whether she knows that people say she doesn't like dogs, or whether she feels this is a sort of, you know, like sex question about dogs or something more worse or dark. I don't know. She doesn't like that body language, that like confusion, I would say, horror and confusion has come down from I've got nothing to hide.
Go on, off you go.
Okay.
And it's just go on, off you go after that. So she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dogs. Please leave. So the one big thing
you know
we've
that,
got.
right?
Go on.
Do you have anything to say about Nicola Bulley?
Nothing.
Her hands are already
Everyone
waving
right.
around.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know
off
that,
you
right?
Go on.
Do you have anything to say about Nicola Bulley?
Because she knew the question was coming.
Nothing at all.
No.
I think she feels concerned and scared, like frightened, like she's putting on bravado. I think she's an 80-year-old woman who's had to, it seems, be master of her own small kingdom in some way. And it's a bit of a task, a bit of a job. She has to put up with, like, you know, that man in his caravan and this woman have been having a row about this thing over a period of time. It's been getting on her nerves. It's been, you know, a problem, a thorn in her side. And like my 80-year-old nan, or like, bless her, she's dead now, but you know what I mean, like, I wouldn't want her having a row with someone next door about some bollocks. And I'd be like, Nan, just leave it, just don't talk to them. Like, you know, I'd go around and I'd say, stop arguing with my nan. Like, you're a grown man, she's a woman, she's an older lady now. Let's not have it. Let's just, I don't care, you just have to be nicer to my nan. Do you know what I mean? Everyone, I'd be interested to, you've been typing it in chat, you know, now that we've looked at it and now that I've talked about it and I showed you what that other guy said, you know, I just got a random one. but you know, it was totally 100% what I was saying. Are you agreeing, or do you think that Penny seems more or less, now that we've looked through Penny's body language, because this is the encounter with Penny, and then we get a little bit about the boy, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bring up a concept about the boy, and then I'm going to maybe dispel it. But what do you think about Penny then? You know, what do you think about Penny? Trying to make herself bigger to shoo them off, says Beryl Pole. I think that's another good one. She's scared people think she's a suspect, says Richie Dupe. I think that's a good point. Like, but then, yeah, wouldn't you be if you weren't a if you hadn't done anything, you'd be scared that you might get people coming around and the TikTokers, and then what happens? Your business goes under, and like you'd be worried about all this stuff, scared. And someone has disappeared and ended up in the river, and you're a woman yourself, and you've got a dog, like, you know. I surrender, officer, says Lynette still. My read on it, and I said I wasn't going to red flag it, and I've said where I could red flag it, but I told you why I don't feel like red flagging it, because the body language says innocence to me. If you were going to go in a textbook and write down what innocent people would do when asked a direct question like this could be in the textbook as one of the pictures. So, like, I'm saying she feels very innocent to me. I must say, I'm amazed about how many people are showing up to... I know that we get more people for the Nicola Bulley stuff, yeah? I know we get more people for the Nicola Bulley stuff. I'm amazed about how many people show up to this Nicola Bulley stuff. And I'm aware that I don't want to be ringing this particular thing out all the time. So I'm very grateful if you choose to subscribe and tune into some of the other stuff that we do on the channel, and check out the other stuff that we do on our other channels as well, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on here. And I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the other stuff too. We're going to move on to this little boy, this young lad. And I'm just going to talk frankly about it.
So guys, Penny has called the police. I think she needs to be careful calling the police. They might start digging around. Who are you?
Police are here, mate. Go, move.
Didn't harass no.
So, I don't know if he's related to her. I don't know. I've got no facts. He's come down to defend this lady. The police have arrived, and at the same time as the police are there, this lad's going off in public, in front of the police. So feels bold enough to do that. I can see why he's angry and being aggressive, because he's being defensive over somebody that he sees as vulnerable. So I can understand that. But I will red flag this a little bit, which is that at whatever given moment this is, this person's available just to pop down. I don't know whether this is in the afternoon or the evening or whatever, but like, they're around, they're hanging out, they're available. And you're saying grandson in chat, but I have no confirmation.
Didn't harass nobody, mate. Can do, yeah. Go on, you go first.
My first point is this, right? Just, I understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've seen your YouTube channel.
Have you?
Yeah, I have seen your YouTube channel, and I get the purpose of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I tell you what happened today?
Just listen to me for a minute, right? When
Go
it
on.
comes to the local residents, okay, you could be more respectful of what you're doing, okay? So, for example, going on to the caravan site, I understand that this is public access, and that...
Does he go on to say, to mention that that's her grandson? A lot of people are saying in chat that it's a grandson, but where is this fact from? Like, who is reporting that as a fact, and how do you know that? Like, is it just an assumption that people have made, and then it's become part of the facts that no one's ever shown receipts for?
Right,
no, but
I'm here.
But it's not a normal behaviour
No,
to walk onto the caravan site to approach an individual.
But that's not what happened. Right, so
you're not committing any.
We just cut a bit there where he came out again. That was in the original broadcaster thing.
Yeah.
It's got to a point now where we've had quite a few calls about yourself, and again, it's.
But apart from today,
I'm not accusing you, but I'm not accusing you of committing offences. What I'm saying is that I just don't think you're being respectful of local people now. Because
up until...
I wouldn't come to your neighbourhood and start filming you, your missus, or your kids, or whoever.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is by the by. We can talk about police response another time, but tell me, I'm not going to say factually on the internet that's her grandson until I know it's her grandson, but a lot of people seem to think it is. The policeman says it apparently.
Who aren't, and by keeping it going, you just.
If anything, I'm trying to stop speculation. That's different. I didn't plan to go on there today. That just spur of the moment happened. Today I've been filming down by the river again. You've seen the videos. That's trying to stop speculation, to show people, look, you're saying this has happened. It can't have happened because X, Y, Z, right? Here there's a camera, or there's a camera. That can't have happened. So I'm trying to put it to bed as well.
Right. Just what I would say is, I know you're going to bring up that lad's actions. It's something that
well, no, he's angry. He's angry.
Rita Martinez sent tippies. Great live stream. Thank you for giving us a chance to discuss this case. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thanks. I'm following up currently on these 2 episodes. There's this, and there's the police response that I've been asked to do, so I will be doing those. But ultimately, once discussion, there's discussion, the Madeline. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe to Super Chuffer. Look, on the road to 10k. Remember the Madeleine McCann case? I actually believe, and I've got an extensive playlist about Madeleine McCann. I've got a few extensive playlists. I've got an extensive one where I looked through the book that was written by the policeman that did the case, wrote a book. They tried to ban it. The European Court of Human Rights said you can't ban it, so it got thrown out of court or whatever. And then, I don't know if it's human rights, so the European Court said you can't ban it, so then it was published. And then I've looked through the book. We've done 4 episodes on that. I've done the interviews and embedded confessions, covering Rich D. Hall's take on the embedded confessions, and that expert on that. We've overviewed that. And then we've done the body language analysis of Madeleine McCann interviews, 2 parts. And we've got more interviews to do, of course, plus an episode of Thus is on that as well. So lots on Madeleine McCann. They kept that going for fucking ages, didn't they? And we all know that her fucking parents killed her in the room, or she died in the room, and then they just hid the body away and then tried to make it look like she was abducted. We all know that, don't we? I'm not going to get binned off the internet for saying that, am I? Jesus. There's a lot of evidence to point that way. Check out the extensive playlist. A lot of what was paid for by the fund and by the media and this and that, a lot of what was going on in the YouTube and around the world and all the, a lot of what it was just smoke screen, was just smoke and mirrors, so that you can't really discuss the case, because what you're really discussing is whether some chuffer from Germany in a kebab van was going around, and whether some chuffer in the mountains was a part of a pedo ring, or you're not really discussing the case, are you? And the people that really did the murder, because you're off discussing all this other stuff, this smoke and mirrors. And Nicola Bulley has, this whole thing with Nicola Bulley has a lot of that about it. Instead of discussing what really happened. All right, I'm here. All right. Instead of discussing what really happened, we end up discussing a lot of smoke and mirrors, and the people that really did it, who should be having focus on them, tend to get, smoke and mirrors. Oh, I'm off meeting the Pope now. Whoops. Oh, I accidentally took the Madeleine Fund and made it into my mortgage fund. Whoops. So Emma and Paul and the GoFundMe and all that. I'm doing this episode today and I'm explaining my feelings about this, but I'm also being cautious. Like you say, it's great we can discuss the case, but I've made my case very clear, and it has actually been questioned recently. Oh, what if it wasn't Emma? What if it wasn't Paul? And then what do you do and say on the internet? And then how do you look? Well, I've made my case pretty clear. So I'm allowed to have my thoughts and feelings based on the evidences that I've uncovered. And not that I've been shown, someone said to me on Facebook this, that I've uncovered by watching these videos. You can watch me live uncovering the things as they happen. And then I'm happy to have my opinion and stick by it. And if I'm proved wrong through some DNA evidence or something like that, and if it turned out, then I'd have to apologise and say I was wrong, wouldn't I? And then that'd be fine, because I'm just a person on the internet making videos and a human being. However, I still, at the moment, still quite stand by. I'd be surprised if that was the case, because how would you explain all this weird shit going on in the interviews? So yeah, it's great that we discuss the case. It is, but it's also important that we should discuss the case and not every bit of smoke and mirrors around it. For this boy, I want to address this, and I just want to say it. It's hanging in the air like a bad smell, so someone needs to say it. He comes out and he acts really aggressive and rude, and he says the rude swear words, and he's aggressive to Curtis, and he's confrontational. So is it possible that this boy was out swinging his golf club when Nicola Bulley was out walking her dog, and he said, "Fuck you, you cunt," to Nicola Bulley, or the dog barked at him and he said, "Fuck your dog," or something like that, and she said, "Listen, you," and he went over and just swung the golf club and like, dosh, and he's dragged her off to the caravan, and he's the one that's dumped her in the river? Is that possible? And that Penny having to cover it up or in some way knows about it, like, is that possible? You know, that's what you want to see and say, isn't it? Isn't that what people want to say about this? Isn't that what people's feelings are about this chuffer, you know, coming around and doing the shouting, and why they're all watching this part of the video, you know? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, police are here, mate.
Because if that were the case, you would expect the police to know where he was on the day, about his movements and stuff like that, and to be able to check him out and vet him. You'd expect that. You'd also, like, she would have to have... Remember at the start I was saying about possibilities and about probabilities. Like, what's the possibility and probability that this chuffer was out wanting to do a random murder on the day, or got into an altercation that ended in murder? Very unlikely. Still possible, but very unlikely. The bad smell in the air is that it seems like a well-eggy chuffer who's like kicking off. So he could have done that. Like, Nicola could have been the one to, like, you know, have a kick off with him. He could have been defending his nan on that day with Nicola. You know, they could have been having a row. That, you know, that's all a possibility, isn't it? Can I rule that out? No, not me, but the police can. You know, can they rule out where he was on the day? Is he available right now to turn up? Yes. So was he available on the day Nicola went missing? I don't know. You know, was he at work or something, or at school or something? I don't know. Can the police rule that out? Probably. That's as far as I can say on that, isn't it? But with Nicola and Penny and other involvement, like with Penny, would Penny hide Nicola's murder and keep this chap?
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Donna Brotherton sent tippies. Love all your channels X. Thank you for going into depth and analysing issues where the waters are muddied. Excuse the pun XX. Love you loads XX.
Thank you.
Super Chuffer owes 10 hugs.
Thank you. I wonder about this sometimes. I wonder whether this is going to be Alan's next video, you know. Because I'm not going to say much more on this because I haven't got... Remember what I'm saying about facts? I haven't got them. I don't even know that that's her grandson like everyone keeps saying. Everyone seems to think it is. I haven't seen the fact. I don't think, in general probability terms, if I was the police and I was putting my, you know, the priorities list, this isn't high on the list, but it is a possibility. I would rule it out by finding out his movements, by finding out his alibi, and also I wouldn't expect Penny to cover it up. I would actually expect her to bring it forward, to say, look, you've done this bad thing, and if it is her grandson, say you've done this bad thing and you're going to have to, because I can't go to prison for you and the whole family's not going to, like, you know, I don't know, but I would expect him to be bolshy and aggressive defending his nan, especially when the police were there. Bear this in mind, right? If you've done a murder and the police have turned up, are you going to be out there yelling and shouting and kicking off in front of the police? Like that, maybe you're that, maybe, you know, maybe this guy is in this, probably not a 18-year-old. I don't know, can't see, you know, I think of him as being a bit younger. Is it possible that, you know, having done a murder, you would be that bullshit? Are you that unhinged that you're just always like this? And so when the police turn up, you continue to be like this? I don't know. But it certainly feels like he feels he's got the backing of the police, doesn't it? And if you've done a murder, your confidence in the backing of the police would be undermined. You wouldn't want them sniffing around. You wouldn't be out there doing the shouting and, you know, calling them and referring to them as, like, you know, being on their side, so to speak. I feel. I don't know. I might be wrong. So I get from his body language in this situation, I get, like, he's got his hands in his pockets as well, and he doesn't come over, and there is a bit where he's close, but he's up to the gate and he's on the phone. I think he seems scared as well. If anything, I think he seems scared as well. There's two people here, remember, Curtis and another person, and his nan is called, or, you know, assuming what you're saying in chat, and somebody's called him in and he's come in, so he thinks he's coming into a situation, so he's wound up as well. Body language from me, I read fear in his behaviour, the pacing around, the shouting, like the display of, you know, bolshiness, but doing it from a distance. So I'm going to say, did he go up and like hit Nicola in the head and then have to drag her into a caravan? Is he capable? Capable, possible. Probability down there in the small percents, 2s and 3s. Very easy to rule out from the police, or rule in if they needed to. And you know, if I was conducting a murder investigation, this would be part of it. Someone would have to conduct that. Someone would have to search those cabins. Someone would have to check this character out. But for me, as a body language reader on YouTube and the conversation we're having, I'm saying this seems normal in the situation. Not normal, but normal in this situation. And I'm not getting those red flags that I would be looking for, which would be to act like, imagine if he came over and actually threw a punch. Or imagine if when the police turned up, suddenly he's not so bullshitting out there anymore and it's his nan that's doing all the talking. Or, you know, like, if he'd not been the one to call the police, or like knowing the police were there, he'd decided to scarper or not even turn up at all. Like, you know, there's those factors. And I get the impression this is not the police's first rodeo at this property, and that the police have been called in before at this property, and that maybe, because she said, are you TikTokers? And like, maybe he's seen a couple of TikTokers himself, and maybe there's a, you know, we're stepping into the middle of an argument, like with that man at the start. We're stepping into the middle of an argument a little bit late here, you know. And he's walking off as well.
Didn't harass nobody, mate.
And he was a lot more bolshy when he got in with the police in the property as well. So, I mean, yeah, this is the worry for Penny, and if that's her grandson, this is what she's worried about, is people might be on the internet like this and point at this and say, oh, you know, the bad smell in the air, like I said, was that he's a bit bolshy and eggy and this and that. So therefore, she may be a suspect, and then he has to live his life under the suspicion of murder. Like, you know, me personally, I'm not saying that. So I don't get the wrong vibe here, you know. I'm saying he seems like if that was my nan's house, or, you know, someone I loved and lived nearby and whatever, I might go over and, you know, act a bit bolshy to get rid of these idiots from filming her. You know, that might be possibly a normal behaviour. Then you've got the police, and we can talk about the police directly in police response video, I suppose.
Filming you, your missus, or your kids, or whoever.
So that was Curtis Media in that video. The next one we're going to look at is Nicola Bulley is seen again with her dog, 9:10 a.m, missing woman, Sky News and Ron. We're doing these two together, right? We're doing these two together. Can somebody please tell me why we're doing these two together on today's episode? Can somebody please tell me why we're doing Nicola Bulley Penny and Nicola Bulley Ron on the same episode today? Why it's a joint venture? Why there's two of them? Could somebody please tell me that in chat? Why the two come in as a package? I'd like to know. You just typed your minutes list. Anyway, any reason these two should go together? They're related, apparently, someone says in chat. That's her husband, someone asks in chat. John says they're related. Dicey says it's the brother-in-law. I don't know if they are related. Penny, Ron, Nicola Bulley related. There's a lot of TikTok nonsense, isn't there? Like TikTok about it. Is there somewhere where it says that they're related? The man identified only as Ron. Is there anywhere it says that they're related? Is there anywhere that says... Do I think the murderer is watching? I think, yeah, Paul and I think, obviously, Paul and Emma watch all of this, yes. People are saying the brother-in-law, but where have you got that information from? earlier, I made a mistake about whether this video or that video was before or after she got found, because of the thing I thought, like that Mandela effect. Remember, like, we're all human, we all make mistakes, yeah? I checked it and I made sure I was right or wrong, and then we found out. Can anyone tell me where we're getting this idea about him being the brother-in-law from? I can't find it in any... Not like TikTok video. Someone said this and someone said that on... I heard someone in the I heard someone in the village said that someone... He tells me. Alright, let's watch him then. And then let's see if he tells us. But I want to bear that, like... I'm not going to say that Ron is related until I know it as a fact. Okay? On my channel. A lot of people think it's a fact. Oh, we're going back, remember? We're going back. We go back to where Nicola was first seen. Was she at the bench? Was she at the school? Did she even leave her house? When did her Fitbit go off? Going back to the facts. Like, is he related? If he tells me on this interview he is, fine. I'll go with it. I have...
How are you? No, not at all.
Good to see you.
You live here.
Go well.
So first of all, what I want to address is this a setup or not? Does Ron intend today to go and have an interview with these people on the television? Is he waiting off camera to just come in and pretend, oh, we're going to do an interview? Or have they said, look, here he comes, switch on the cameras, we'll get him now. There's ticks in both boxes. Okay, there's ticks in both boxes. One of the ticks... Do you want to come in, Cat? Because you wanted to be out a minute ago. One of the boxes to say that there's no possible way that this could be done live and surprise him is that if you were going to surprise him, then you couldn't you can legally broadcast him on the telly. Hi, we're doing a live thing. Do you want to be on the interview? But you usually, for this sort of media, you get a release form. So it would be unlikely that you would just go live and then start talking to a random member of the public. It's much more likely you would get a release form first, and that the producer would talk to you and say, we want to talk to you. Are you happy being on this thing? So these sort of things are much more usually set up than random. In the other box is that you could talk to him and then get around the release form later. And if he chose to say, I don't want to be on it, can you take me off? You could say, well, no, it was live. You were aware it was live and you chose to come and talk to us. I don't know all the laws and rules about it, but I certainly know that there's no rule about not, if I went into public now and outside Boots and just started filming and someone said, oh, you can't film me. No, I can. It's public. If you're in a public space and I'm filming my live broadcast, that's on you to not be in the live broadcast if you don't want to be. But I can film. So I'm not going to say... they had to have set this up. The other thing is, if you know that he's not going to want to talk or you're worried he won't talk, what happens here is the producers from Sky News are here on the ground the day before. She's not going down in her big red coat just to randomly piff about. They've set up a fucking... this one annoyed me. They set up a marquee down by the bench. They've got their little setup. They're not messing about. They've sent a researcher down the day before. Someone's walked this route. They know how long it's going to take. They've scripted what they're going to do today. And then Kay Burley's going to turn up and then she's just going to follow the script. So it would seem really likely that this, again, set up. We're going to bring in Ron at this point. Or the other thing that they could have done, like I said, is they could have ambushed him. They could say, look, he's going to walk down this path. He does every day. We want to talk to him. We're going to be on the path. Anyone that walks down the path is going to be an interview. And if they walk and they, there's probably a 10-second delay on it where they say, oh, do you want to do an interview? And the people say, no, fuck off. And they walk off. And then they say, okay, cut the delay. Don't broadcast that live. But you've got different opinions in chat. None of us have got the facts, remember. None of us got the facts. So I'm going to have to just go on, guesswork as to whether it was set up or not. I've told you reasons why I think both. My personal feeling is that, yes, I think they have ambushed him and that he didn't want to be on this interview necessarily and they ambushed him. And my feelings on that, I'll explain why as we go through it. My first one is they are predators. They are the worst kind. It might have been that as he went through the gate, the producer stopped him and said, they're doing interviews up there, so you're aware that if you walk past, they might stop you and talk to you. And that counts as as a briefing, and he's been briefed, and like, you know, he thought what, and then he walked on, and they stopped. You know what? Like, and it might be that Ron is so bolshy, he's refusing to not walk on his normal path, but instead he's sticking to his normal path. They say Ron had a mic on. I don't see any of that here, and I would not expect Ron to be wearing a mic if he was not pre-set up. So let's see if he's got a mic on as well then.
Hey, sir.
Come on
Fine.
through.
Do come
How
through.
are you?
No, no, not at all.
Good to see you.
Do you live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you actually...
But he goes to walk off. Do you live here is a, like, you know, comment, and he goes to walk off. His dog's doing the poo. You remember we saw this weeks ago. Like, this is another reason I've left weeks between it. The dog's going to do the poop and run. We watched this weeks ago, and I told you my feelings on it, but I want to come at it a bit more, you know, without my feelings, so to speak. I told you at the start of the episode, so let's see.
You saw the phone, is that right? Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning.
Like, they might have said, go on as if you're going to walk normally, and then he'll stop you and you stop and turn. At this point, he's missed his mark. They're at the wrong point, and they've not brought him back to the other mark, and they've not turned him to face the camera properly. So if they are setting this up, they've done a fucking awful job of it, and it feels more like it's not set up. It feels more like they're just literally getting in the path of dog walkers and trying to force them onto interviews.
Morning, sir.
Come on
Fine.
through.
Do come
How
through.
are you?
No, no, not at all.
Good to see you.
Do you live?
And she moves aside as if to say, do come through. But he doesn't.
Well, it has been like that. So you actually saw the phone, is that
Brings him
right?
back in.
Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
He already
Yeah,
knows
and
who
that
he
was
is and what he
around-
saw.
was it-
So that is now categoric. This is set up. There's no way you say to a man that walks past, oh, you, sir, you saw the phone. And Ron goes, yeah, I did, yeah. So they've had this set up, I'm going to say. It flips both ways for me, doesn't it? It flips both ways. Is he wearing a mic? I can't see, unfortunately. Let me see if I can hear.
Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was around, was it after 9:30?
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because, excuse me.
No, he's not wearing a mic. When he wipes his nose like that, you don't hear it. Listen.
I gave a full statement.
He's a little bit more distant from this man. So you're hearing on the boom mic, he's further away.
Statement to the police with the exact time because, excuse me.
And you don't hear any, like, from the clothes.
Because my wife's telephone call had the time on it, so.
Yeah.
But I've given a full statement.
And you do hear the wind behind and the river almost as loud as Ron in a way. I believe that's a boom mic.
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
And in terms of, you know, when you saw Phone, Lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
no, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both.
I feel like they've had a conversation before, like, in some way. Like, I feel like it is set up because he's leading him with these questions, like, you're supposed to be giving me these answers, this is what I'm supposed to be hearing. And some people say that's like a psyop, but what it is they've gone down the day before, they've talked to people, they've set up their route, they're doing a television broadcast, and it's all scripted, and they don't want to do an interview where someone says something random. So now we send in Ron, and Ron says this that he said to us yesterday, and he's giving him a slightly different answer to what he heard or the researcher has told him. I get the feeling a researcher's done the first interviews, and these two are just like turning up and, you know, riding on the back of it. Or maybe this guy is the researcher and Kay Burley's the one that just comes in. But it seems insane to think that this is a conversation that any normal people, like a normal person like me or you, and you were asked, oh, you said this yesterday though, didn't you? And you'd be like, who to? When? What do you mean? Not yes, no, yes, no.
How's the last 3 weeks been?
How's the last few
Each
weeks
day
been, he
something.
says. So that means he's seen him a few weeks ago.
Yeah. How's the last 3 weeks been?
Maybe. Or it could just mean, since Nicola Bulley went missing, how's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
And in terms of, you know, when you saw Phone, Lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
no, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew you knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both.
So this is right weird, right? I think that it isn't set up, but it is set up insofar as they've done the research. He's probably spoken to this wrong guy before. They've been in this situation sort of like this before, where they've been on the dog walk talking to dog walkers and doing the journalism, and now they're set up with the live cameras, and Ron has walked into the situation and has sort of been half hijinked into doing an interview live. But I don't know if Ron realises he's doing like a full I'm live on Sky News right now interview, or if he just feels like he's having a bit of a chit chat with someone who he semi-recognises about this. And like, we're going to go, what I want to do is I want to get through the next minute and see if he really does say if they're related or not first, and then we want to go back and pick it apart a bit more.
Both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the... you know, that would have been my first. I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me. I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife to say that she'd fastened the dog up. That was
Penny had rung my wife.
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially and saw the phone, but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right. Yeah.
And then after that, you know, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
Then it was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived. Yeah.
Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yes. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably,
we're retracing those steps this time 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So an important.
I know.
Juncture.
Important.
Thank you very much. Take care. All the best.
So I think that was a hijacked interview. They've spoken to him many times before, as they alluded to, and he didn't realise he was live on Sky News right then. And I imagine later the producer probably went up to him and said, "Can you sign this Can you sign this release form to say that you're happy to be on the news?" And he was like, "Was I on the news?" And like, "Fuck it, yeah, sign it." Because they've obviously chatted to him before. We'll break down his story a little bit, but what I want to just draw your attention to is, regardless of what was said in chat, he never mentioned that I missed it. I don't think I missed it. He never. Sorry, I'll tell you what. He never mentioned his wife being related to Penny.
That it was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone.
Yes. And saw the phone, but didn't know.
No, we'll go through it. We'll go through it again, fine-tooth comb. But I didn't hear him. I said, "How do we know he's related?" We don't know he's related. In fact, we don't know he's related. Like, if someone wants to ever find me the facts, like, you know, I will report them as facts. But this one, I don't know that he's related. I just don't know. We can make assumptions, like we could with the grandson, that we assume that's a grandson. But again, that wasn't proven to me today in the media that I'm watching, and this is where they said that he said it and he didn't said it. So got to be careful about these facts, haven't we? We've got to be careful to, especially with with cases like this. Like I said, you know, this is someone's lives and stuff like that. You know, not just a live stream, but someone's life. Like, so, you know, we should be careful about the facts.
How are you?
No, not at all.
Good to see you.
Do you live here?
Do you live here, as in you're here all the time?
It has been like that. So you
he actually feels boldened enough to touch Ron, which stops Ron in his tracks and makes him stop. But his dog's also doing a poo, so he was going to go over and pick that up, I assume.
Or the phone, is that right? Yeah.
You saw the phone, is that right? Yeah, says Ron, almost slightly excited. And it's confirmed by, like, so this guy has been doing the research. You saw the phone, is that right? And Ron says, yeah, as like a confirmation.
Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was.
Yeah, and he asked him the same question twice, and Ron's confident about that. Yes, I saw the phone.
Was it after 9:30?
I gave a full statement to the police with the.
So, Ron is now saying, "You're asking me if it's after
it's
9:30."
Raining again. I couldn't be happier.
S.Which sent tippies.
Thank you very much.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you, I really appreciate that. Ron is saying that at the time I gave a statement to the police, which you can infer from what he's saying. And again, like we say, you're only talking facts, and now he's inferring from what he's saying. Yeah, this is a guy saying something to me, to him. I can read what he's saying, and I can make inferences. That's almost like a fact, isn't it? It's like what he said. Ron said, I gave a full statement to the police with all these details in. I put myself in his... This is what... I'll tell you what. I'm going to just quickly, name drop that chuffer. Well, I'm not going to name drop him. You all know who I'm talking about when I put the wig on. This is going to really annoy him, but it's the facts. And this is the facts. And this is why he's got a problem with the facts. Is that certain facts require you to be able to read human emotion. And that requires you to be an empath, not a narcissist. Empath, not a narcissist. That's going to annoy him. Oh, have we got someone in chat? Yeah, okay. I'm not going to go into why that particular person is being toxic, because it's a bit sad for them, but I am going to bin them off. Yeah. If you're an empath, you can put yourself in Ron's position. You can think about how he would feel. I walk these dog routes all the time, and then this thing kicks off, and at the time things were kicking off, and it's quite an important thing. I've given my statement to the police, meaning, if you ask me, what time is this? 9 o'clock in the morning. I've got up, I've put on my warm clothes, I've had my cup of tea or whatever, and I'm out walking the dog. And if you ask me about what I said to somebody 2 days ago, we all know, and we started the episode here, right? We started the episode here. We've got, we're humans, and we've got, I called it selected memory. It was the wrong phrase, wasn't it? The Mandela effect or whatever. We don't always remember things exactly right. Like, I certainly don't. I used to have appointments book for my hairdressing. I'd have to write it all down in a book, because otherwise I wouldn't be at all the appointments. Just wouldn't get it right, So with Ron, I feel for him that Bren says again in chat, it's Ron's wife that's related to Penny. Yeah, but prove it to me. Don't just say it. Like, if it's a fact, then prove it to me. Because a lot of people have said it's a fact, but I have never seen it as a fact, so I'm not going to say, I'm not going to follow everyone. Like, question the narrative is a big thing that comes up, isn't it, when we're looking for truths. And it's not that it's not that I think everything's a conspiracy theory, but if I'm going to establish facts and just go on facts, I'm only just going to go on facts, aren't I? So, that's how it has to be. But what I can see here is the fact is he's not going to answer the question of, is it at this exact time? He's answering that question with a statement. I've given my statement to the police, meaning I'm not sure. I don't know exactly. At the time I was more sure, so I said it and I gave the statement, and that's what I just want to leave. Because if I say something in public now and it's different to that, it's going to all get confusing for people, and I'm already confused. So that could be a statement of innocence. It could also be, being fair, a red flag. Okay, you want to slow down chat? All right, no problem, I can do that. I'll give you a 10-second slow mode and see if that makes it any better. The issue with Ron is, he could just be a normal person who's just like found a phone, or he could be like, involved in a murder and a cover-up, right? So if it's a red flag, 2 red flags in one here is that I gave my statement to the police, meaning I'm not going to talk about it. So that's a negative, isn't it? Because I'm not going to talk about it. But also the other red flag is that I don't want to contradict myself in public, because the police can check it against my statement. So awareness of how the police would operate, maybe. Or the other side of it is innocence, and I'm just confused.
Exact time, because,
Excuse me. Now he turns away from the camera to wipe his mouth, because does he realise he's on camera? Or is that just, he's just doing that? But that's where I feel he's not mic'd up, or if he is mic'd up, they're not using the feed from his mic very heavily, because if I was mic'd up and I did that, that would be the loudest thing you'd hear. You got to consider the sound balance. There's someone stood over this with a boom microphone, pointing it down at them. So that's going to get all the sound in general. And their personal microphones, you see it's a windy day and they've got those little fur things on them. They might be going, and they might just bring them down in the sound mix. You don't know which mics they're using, even if he is mic'd up. But my guess is he's not,
Because my wife's telephone call.
So my wife's telephone call, he says, waving his hand. Waving this hand. So he's picturing the phone in the hand. He's am I red flagging this properly? Or he could be acting the phone in the hand, couldn't he? He could be performing, showing you the performance.
Had at the time on it, so.
And it's like he's using his hand here to search for the thing in his head? Is it like, it's like a sorting motion, like a rifling through. It's a bit of a strange one as well.
Wife's telephone call had of the time on it, so.
It's similar to what we saw before, isn't it, in Penny? The raising of the hand, the showing of the palm, a gesture of innocence in a way. He's got a stick in the other hand, which that stick precludes him from doing other stuff. Like, he has to hold the stick, otherwise he'll... Like, if you're doing body language, it happens naturally. You don't put the stick down so that you can wave your arms around and do your body language. So that's a difficulty. And he's wearing this big coat and he's turned away. But it does show us the palm. I mean, you don't know who he's showing the palm to. He's talking to this man, so is he really showing him the palm? We see the palm, but is he showing him the palm? I don't think so much. It could almost be like a bargaining motion as well.
Telephone call.
Took the telephone call.
Had of the time on it, so.
Had the time on it, so. Is this a confusion with technology? Is he not very technological? Because... taking the telephone call, she was on a group meeting, so he's confused about what nature of the call is it? Or his wife took the telephone call. So I assume we're talking about the phone that was on the bench. So there was a call to the phone, and his wife has taken that call. And there's the time on the phone. That's incongruent with what we know as the timeline. I haven't done my timeline episode yet, because I don't even fucking believe any of it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do an episode saying this has happened on this time and this happened on this time, and just at the very start I'll say I don't think any of this happened, and every time and then the phone was found on the bench, except I don't think it was, and then this will happen, and I don't think it was, but this is interesting, isn't it? This is interesting. I don't know if everyone's picked up on this, if anyone has, but he's actually telling us that his wife did take the phone call. Not that she was on a work meeting, not that it was on a work meeting and his wife checked the phone and it said this is the time, but his wife took a phone call. So I'm assuming his wife is holding the phone. He does this motion, the slight panic, as it rings. Oh, it's ringing. Oh, so his wife answered it. That would have been to Paul Ansell, my assumption.
Wife's telephone call had of the time on it, so.
Hang on.
Wife's gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had of the time on it, so.
Yeah. Because my wife's... hang on. Did he say took the telephone call or my wife's telephone call? Hang on.
Wife's telephone call had of the time on it.
So wait. So what I said, it could be wrong. It might be because my wife's telephone call. So they found the phone and his wife's telephone call. So the phone call his wife made or he made to his wife would have the exact time on it because that's the time that he phoned. So that's registered on their phone. I might be wrong there.
Telephone call. Yeah.
It's all about whether we said because my wife took the telephone call or because my wife's telephone call. Voice transcript can be very difficult. It can be very difficult. I'm sure Ron knows what he said, but you'll have to tell me what you think in chat out of these two options, and we'll have to decide between us.
After 9:30.
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had of the time on it, so. Yeah. But I've given a full statement.
Yeah. Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just?
So that's that matter there. Is it my wife's telephone call or my wife's took the telephone call? There's a choice. I think actually on second viewing it's my wife's telephone call. So they found the phone and then someone either has phoned his wife or his wife has phoned someone, and that phone call is logging the time that they made that call.
On the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench? And
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
There's almost a look of surprise that she's cut into this conversation now, and now he's turning and looking at her like I thought we were talking and now this woman's talking to me.
Pardon?
Was it just on?
Pardon? Like a surprise. Like, almost like shock, surprise, fear, or believe me expression.
So, but I've given a full statement.
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, honestly, yeah. Hard to see, we're covering part of the face here, and I don't have a baseline for this man. It went very static then. It went very static on the second question of whether the phone was just on the bench.
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he thinks she doesn't believe me. Like, why is she questioning me further? I wonder if he thinks that.
Yeah. How's the last 3
Yeah, you're right, Tab, but at the end he does mention Paul by name. We'll get to that, yeah.
weeks been?
It's interesting that this confrontation between these two, is it possible they've... Look, Kat, I'm not going to be able to concentrate and do the episode if you're going to meow at me. So either you come here for cuddles or you go out of the room. Yeah, well, they're the options. This is cuddles. Do you like it or not? Because she's not a very cuddly cat, this one. Oh, yeah. And you miss your friend. You have cuddles. So, I wonder, because they've been in the area before, he's spoken to this man before. They've spoken before. Maybe this woman's spoken to Ron before. They didn't like each other and Ron doesn't really want to talk to her. And he's surprised that she's now going to be like so cordial and just to say, oh, da-da-da. And he's like, you again? With this? You've already asked me all these funny questions, you. I don't like you. Yeah. You know, I don't know about the backstory between them, but it is a bit of a strange bit of body language from Ron on the questioning from Kay Burley. He freezes almost and gives me... if I was red flagging it, I'd say it's the believe me look, but it might be a real believe me look because, like, why are you questioning me? I'm being honest.
Yeah. Was it just on the bench, or?
I have a super chat. Oh, good point. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Good point. Paul Taylor says, Paul's interview, he said, call her phone, and then he did a WhatsApp, but they didn't answer. Strange to me. Yes, you're right. He did say he called the phone, but then, you know, the problem with Paul is that those calls were made, like, my early assumption that this is all a decoy and a load of bollocks from Paul included you make a phone call to that phone. Like, I think at that point he probably had the phone in his possession. I think that's why it wasn't answered, or whoever had the phone in their possession and it wasn't answered, you know. And the point was that the phone proves because he's calling the phone and he's not with the phone, therefore Paul didn't murder her. Because Paul was somewhere else calling it. So there's my alibi. So I couldn't have murdered her. And I think the police went on stuff like that and assumed that it was the case that he didn't murder her. But they didn't realise he might have just had an accomplice who had taken the phone out. Like, Emma's out with the phone and now you're calling her. So I imagine at that moment, the phone was actually in the hands of who I assume to be Emma. That's my assumption on that, yeah.
Yeah. How's the last 3 weeks been?
Because, again, if the phone had been ringing and they'd been holding it, then that point where my wife took the call or my wife took that bit, that would make more sense because you would answer it. Like, if someone called that phone, you would answer it. No one in the world would watch it ring and think, here's a phone, no one knows who it is, we're all questioning where's this dog and whose is the dog, and here's the phone ringing. Like, I'm not going to answer it, you answer it. No, there's no way we'd answer it. You say, do you know whose phone this is? Who are you calling? Like, everyone would do that because it'd solve your problems for you. So...
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Notice how he's turning away from Kay and this man now. Like, if he realises he's on camera, he's doing a really bad job of doing an interview. It's their job to corral him, to point him at the camera, but I believe they don't want him to, because I believe if they said, oh, Ron, can you face the camera? Then he'd say, the camera, you're filming me, is it going? And they'd say, yes, it's going out live. And you'd go, is it? I think they want to have that conversation after they've done the interview. And he's like, you know, already done these...
Yeah. But I've given a full statement.
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, the yet gets smaller and tighter. That's a bit of a worry, that one. Like, maybe the phone wasn't on the bench.
I've got the time on it, so... Yeah. But I've given a full statement.
Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
Or, because she says or as well. Or. So he's like, what do you mean or?
The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to red flag that. I'm going to say, actually, I don't like that response to that question. I don't know the backstory between the two of them. I don't know if they've had a row. I feel his animosity towards the question and his tightening up on answering it.
Yeah. How's the last 3 weeks been?
And that's a much more vague and congenial question, isn't it? Much less pointed at you and what was going on the day on the bench. Just a much more vague inside. This is almost like good cop, bad cop. So he's like trying to bring him back into the conversation now.
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Back then, sort of was the case. Each day something new was interesting being found. For me, it was mainly each day Emma did an interview.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's exactly true either, but yeah.
And in terms...
And that's all he's got to say about that. What it's been like for the last couple of weeks is something new comes out each day. He doesn't say whether he's threatened by it. We can't see any. I'm looking at a side profile of a man that's heavily covered over, but I don't see it as being a worry to him. But I don't see it as being excitement to him. It's just a statement of fact almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He does look down at the ground, which could be sadness or, like, in some cases, shame. But he might just be looking at his dog, or the dog mess that he's not picking up.
And in terms of, you know, when you
see how he's directing his hands towards the camera. He wants Ron to turn that direction.
Saw Phone, Lead, and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so now we get a contradiction. He's trying to get this guy. Oh, sorry, Kat, you're under my foot. I mean, if you sit under my foot, I touch you. He's saying these are the facts of this interview that we're doing, and Ron's saying no, you've got that wrong.
Phone, Lead, and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
So he doesn't question him about Phone, Lead, Willow.
Or Phone, and in terms of, you know, when you saw Phone, Lead, and Willow.
In terms of when you saw Phone, Lead, and Willow, and Ron just stands stoically and just looks at him, like, having already told you, I've given my statement to the police and I don't really want to talk about this, and then we've had the little bit about, you know, how's things been generally, and I'm ready to walk away now, and now you're asking me this, which is a bit rude of you. I think Ron thinks this is a bit rude. So he's now feeling like, what the fuck? And he didn't question Phone, Lead, Willow. He's accepting those statements out in the open like that.
You knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. And now we're in confrontation as well. Ron's got his hand on this stick. Remember I said about the stick? Like, the stick's been moved to this other hand at some point during this conversation. Now he's using it as like it's almost like it's holding his personal space. And it's also a motion to leave down the path. Like he's establishing here, this is my personal space and I want to leave that, and he's not like, he's almost shut down and he's straight on to the man. Like, it's almost like confrontational, almost like I know, I could see why, right? I'll tell you what, red flag this. Penny, I didn't have much for Penny, but for this, red flag this. Like, it's turned, instead of a congenial conversation, into a confrontation. It could be that he doesn't like the media, and that the media are asking all these questions and stuff. Or it could be that you feel that you're being confronted because you feel you've got something to hide. Like, that could be that. Like, so I would red flag that in terms of, if I was just doing a harsh red flagging on Ron, I'd say the way it's turned into a confrontation here. And, like, Ron is part of it. You're 50-50 in it. Yeah.
Oh, you knew the Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
No, I didn't. So he's saying he doesn't know who Nicola is. Or is he saying that I didn't know that was who had left the dog and the phone?
Phone, Lead, and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both the owners of Willow walk.
I'd seen both the owners of Willow walking
this dog in the past.
Walking this dog in the past.
Yeah. Whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird he uses those words. But what he's telling us, the facts that he's telling us, are that he's seen them walking the dog. Yeah, okay. The reason he says this dog is because until then he didn't know it was Willow. He's saying this dog. I've seen these people and this dog before. I don't know them. I don't know who they are. I've just seen these people before. So, did you know Nicola? No, I didn't know her. I just seen these people in the park before.
See, both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's pointing at him like that, right?
In the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I
see this?
know your face.
That's aggressive.
Yes.
It's being received by the interviewer here, who is a taller man. It's being received by the interviewer as being playful. Minky. You know, he's laughing at it. But not many of us would enjoy a finger poke in the face. And Ron is raising his chin at this moment. So he's turned it from confrontational into aggressive and confident in Ron. Confident. Back off my space. Got almost a finger point with the other hand that's motioning on the cane as well. Like, back off my space, you. Poking, confident. Like, not an aggressive move as in, like, shouting at him and punching him, but this guy has had to like in terms of, like, a smile is a primal way of showing you're subordinate to somebody else. When you're talking about real primal body language, you know, we're going back to chimps, you know, smiling to show the teeth, to smile, you know, it's like a very, like, he's got his hands clasped in front of him. He's not responded with any aggression. Of course, he's trying to do an interview for the telly. So at any point, if someone's going to be aggressive to you on your interview for the telly, you're going to take the subordinate posture in the main, most people. Unless you're Jeremy Paxman or something like that. You do take the subordinate posture. Like, there have been times where me and Eddie Hall had to, like, because we followed him around for years, for a year or so with that camera. There are times where we actually had a conversation where we didn't agree, and I had to say, no, bollocks to that, Eddie. No, I don't think so. But if it was on camera, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to let him talk, and it's the Eddie show, and we're filming Eddie. You know, I'm going to be subordinate. Like, obviously, you wouldn't tell Eddie quite so often, would you? You know, you wouldn't be. What are you hitting the 2 for? 2 for yes. Everyone's all right with the speed of chat. All right, that's what you're hitting the 2 for. I love it. I love it. So what I'm saying about this is that Ron has turned what was a conversation into a confrontation. At first from a defensive posture, and now into an offensive move with the finger point. You wouldn't, and if you're doing that in a conversation, if you're having a conversation with someone and someone's doing that to you, you instinctively feel. So I think it's either a defense to back you off, to gain some personal space, or if he does it as a standard way of behaving, like, the guy laughs at him, but I don't think many people, like, is it just, someone will have to tell me this in chat, is this a northern thing? Is it, like, someone says it might be an old person thing? I'm not ageist, but is it a northern thing? Is it a colloquial thing to Lancashire, maybe, that people are a bit more tough and people do a bit more pointing? And because, is it a personal space? Because personal space and private space and all that changes around the world. You know, customs change around the world. So chin up, pointing to me, body language wise, and this guy receding back into his subordinate role here is a strange. We've moved it from a position of feeling like we're in a confrontation to Ron being aggressive in the confrontation.
Both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face.
Like I know your face.
I didn't know the name.
I didn't know the name, and he leans in with that as well. Red flagging Ron here for being aggressive, like defensive. But it might be that he's scared because there's been a murder, and maybe he's under suspicion, and it could be, you know, he's scared of that. But look,
I didn't know the name.
I didn't know the name, and he tilts the head, and it's a bargaining point as well. The point of the finger is turned sideways now to a point, and the slight tilt of the head. I didn't know the name, so I might have known this, but I didn't know that, so it couldn't have been. So it might be someone in chat is saying Lancashire folk are direct. It could be a direct way to behave. It could be like he's pointing out this flaw in. Oh, you might think this, but no, you couldn't. So there's my evidence. But unlike Penny, who was congenial, who found a way to find rapport, who was assertive. Right, Penny was being, lovely job, he says, being assertive. Penny was being assertive when she was ushering them off. But here, it's more than assertive, it's aggressive. Because it's a finger point, it's a... you know, it's almost like he's got a gun in, or a knife or something, you know, gun almost in his hand, isn't it? The gun pointing action. Keely says he doesn't pick up the dog poop either. The dog's off the lead and there's no rules for Ron. If I was down there walking my dog would be off the lead. And if some woman from some farm just nearby said, oh, but my dog's policy, I'd be like, fuck your policy. This is a field where everyone walks their dogs. Like, my dog's going off the lead. However, if I saw another dog, I would be able to put my dog on the lead quickly, because it's common, like, your dog needs to be under control. That doesn't mean on the lead, but it means that if you need to put it on the lead, you can put it on the lead under control. And if it is a dog lead area, then, you know, I'd have to adhere to that, I suppose. But I think it's all right that it's off the lead. But yeah, you should definitely pick up the poo.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me.
And now he's pointing back up the path up where the interview took place earlier. Like, we were up there earlier, and you were telling me under this awning, under this fucking. So maybe it is like even more set up. It feels like, do you know what I mean? Like. But it feels like if you'd done the interview today, I think he's done this interview with him earlier on a different day, because there's no way you're going to fuck it up. So, like, I remember you said this earlier, and Ron's like, no, I didn't say that today. Like, that would seem weird, wouldn't it? So, like, I wouldn't go with that. I'd say that unless this guy's got his stuff badly wrong, it feels like Ron did say this stuff the other day, and now Ron is slightly. I just need to go over that again.
Both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, that the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the, you know, that would have been, that was my first.
He gets a bit with his words here a bit and stuff, but we go off for different subjects again, don't we? We go somewhere else now. We go somewhere else now with that. What was the confrontation and the point? Let me get this right in my brain.
Whilst I knew them by face, like I know your.
I knew them by face, like I know your face. I didn't know that. He's saying, you said you knew who Nicola Bulley was. And he's saying, no, I didn't. I didn't say I knew who they were. I said I knew their face. So don't get this wrong, chuffer. Not on the telly.
Yes. I didn't know the name.
I didn't know the name. So don't get that wrong. I never said I knew who she was. Maybe that's the point of contention for him. Like, I don't want to be misreported here. I told the police I knew her face. I didn't tell her I knew her name. So when you asked me, do you know her? And I said, yeah, I knew her. I didn't mean I knew her. I mean, I knew her face. Like, maybe it's a point of contention there.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, that the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
So now he's moved it to a slightly different. I remember you telling me that when you saw this stuff, something didn't feel right. So now he's saying, I believe you, and he's nodding his head, and he's agreeing, and he's doing this with his hands. So Ron is now come back down from the aggressive position and saying, okay, yeah, like, you're going to, like, you know, you're not going to contest that.
Again. I couldn't be happier.
Paul's deadly attic sent tippies. You'll write us up north or tougher. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
I'm in the middle. I'm a Midlander. Up north, you're tough. Big ups, 3 hugs, thank you.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet. He doesn't say in the Red Hut thing. He gestures in the direction, and we're to assume that's in that direction. But I don't think anyone goes in the Red Hut thing. Maybe in the bushes. But that's possible. Like, and you know why it's possible? Because
you know, that would have been
because Ron does. Sometimes Ron needs a piss, and he goes to the toilet in the wherever he was gesturing. Like, and he just lets the dog run about, and he just goes for a piss. That's my guess on that, because he says that's what I would.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the, you know, that was my first.
That was my first. He doesn't want to say on the telly or on the interview that I go pissing in the bushes, because remember, this farm, one of the bad reviews said people were pissing in the bushes. So he doesn't want to say that he goes pissing in the bushes, but like sometimes you go on a walk around here. There's that cabin there. It could be that people go in there and have a piss. I think that's very unlikely. But we're on this path, aren't we? We're about here on this path. So he gestures over this way. And I think he means like in these bushes around here. Some people just go in the bushes and have a piss. Like you do, if you're a man and you need a piss on a dog walk, you just go in the bushes and have one. And where would you, like, if there's a bench just there, you might just like pop the dog on the bench and just, I don't know if you need to pop the dog. I would just go in the bushes and not need to pop the dog. But I can understand what he's saying. It's a bit of a strange thing to say, but you're going to have to tell me in chat again. You know, you're going to have to tell me in chat. Do you think that this is, am I putting words in Ron's mouth? Well, he said I would have.
Somebody had gone to the toilet in the.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the.
You know, that would have been.
That was my first thought.
I got to about.
He doesn't finish his thoughts. I'm not putting words into his mouth. I'm trying to extrapolate them out because he started his sentences and then he doesn't, and he stops. And the reason he starts and stops is because the thought and the thing he's going to say, he doesn't want to say that. And so why doesn't he want to say it? And I think there's an embarrassment about going to toilet in the public.
We're like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet.
I thought someone had gone to the toilet.
You know, that would have been.
That.
Right.
I'm going to have to slow it right down.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the. You know, that would have been. That was my. You know, that would have been. That would
have been. That was my first.
I got.
Yeah. Oh, I'll come back. So he's saying that would have been my. That would have been my first thought. So he has to come around from that's what I would have done. Doesn't want to say that. To that would have been what I would have done. Don't want to say that. That would have been my first thought. That would have been my first thought. Is not that was my first thought. That would have been my first thought, which is interesting. Super chat here from Paul Taylor says, let's do a big time frame, bro. I've done it over and over. None of it makes sense. Willow has done a number on the dog collar. They were there for over an hour trying to find out whose phone it was. It's very interesting. I feel that in the first golden hour of this like happening, like if I found someone's phone on the bench, I'm not going to be panicking and phoning the police. Like, I'm just going to be like trying to get the shit together and hoping they're just going to turn up in the next 20 minutes or so. You know, and then when they don't and it starts to get a bit weird, then, you know, maybe phone calls get made. But for the first bit, like he said, like if I was out on a dog walk and I found someone's dog on a phone, I'd be like, you know, maybe they're nearby. Like, this is weird. I don't really want to go and pick up their property and take it anywhere because like, it's not mine. But are they nearby? Or like there wouldn't be an instant panic aroused. But as time passed, it would become more and more weird, and eventually questions would be asked and phone calls would be made. You know? So here, when he said that stuff, I think that he was explaining to me, and you can agree or disagree, but I think Ron was saying he would have had a piss in the bushes if it was him, and he would have left his stuff there like that as well. But he doesn't want to say that on the telly, so instead he just sort of fucks it up.
I got to about this red brick building here.
You actually telling me when you saw the phone, that the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the, you know.
And that's not something doesn't feel right. And that contradicts what this newsman had said. Again, and when Ron says it, he does lift and replace his stick as if to say, like, flagging the map here. No, you're misrepresenting me again. I didn't say something was uneasy or not right. I thought something quite normal and mundane was happening, that someone was using the toilet. That's normal and mundane. That's not savage and dark.
Because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the... you know, that would have been, that was my first, I got to about this red brick building here and I
got to about this, so they are just beyond the building. So it's not the red brick building where he thinks they went to the toilet, because he's off, you know, now he's gesturing somewhere else and looking at it. So he was gesturing off to those bushes further off and up behind. He was gesturing there, up here on the path somewhere, and he was gesturing over towards here for the toilet, and now he's gesturing over towards here for the building. So the building and the toilet are not the same place.
I thought this is not right, and I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right.
So he's left the dog and the phone, and he's walked off.
And then there was conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her.
So there was conversation, and he does this. My wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. So what he means is, and the reason he's doing this, I'm assuming he doesn't have a secret homosexual relationship with his wife. I'm assuming she's a woman and he's not. This isn't an allusion to his feelings about, you know, I'm assuming this is the phone calls butting into each other. You know, when you play phone tennis and you phone someone and they don't answer, so then, you know, you wait and you try and phone them again. But when you're phoning them, they're trying to phone you. And then that doesn't work because you're trying to phone them. And they, oh, wait, I'll leave it. And then they leave it. So now no one's phoning anyone. So now one of them checks the answer phone and the other one checks the phones at the same time. No, it doesn't work. Like, he's doing that. They're trying to phone each other at the same time. So, come on, chat. Come on, Scott. Read chat. Caravan park is 50 yards away. I don't know why how that's relevant. What do you mean? I just read that. If you really want me to read something, you can @superchuffer me, and then, like, you know, I can read it. But you're allowed to talk about stuff in chat, like, but I can't talk about everything that goes on. We've got... The concept is that he's calling his wife and she's calling him at the same time. So he's not down there messing with the dog and the phone. He's walked off. And in this, talking again about this golden hour and like the search and all this sort of stuff, like the assumption is it's something mundane. And so for him to walk all the way up past that red building and even to back would be at least 10 or 15, 20 minutes. So these phone calls that Paul had made could be happening at this juncture. He's not with the phone. The phone has been left at the bench.
Penny had rung my wife.
Yeah.
Penny had rung my wife.
But my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her.
So he was trying to ring his wife was trying to ring her.
Penny had rung my wife.
Penny had rung his wife. He doesn't know if this is about the phone and the dog. Like, no one's saying that Penny's rung his wife because of the dog and the phone, or if Penny's just rung his wife because Penny rings his wife. And that's why he couldn't get through, because she was on the phone to Penny and they're friends.
Yeah.
To say that she'd fastened the dog up that was...
All right, no. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking it apart too quick. Let me just listen to the whole thing then. Okay, right. So I don't fuck up like that again. I'm just going to let it play again. I'm going to have another quick bathroom break and I'm going to let it play. Yeah, Neil, well, you're right. Send tippies for guaranteed acknowledgement. Absolutely right. Send me tippies for the acknowledgement. Yes. If you put it in a tippies, it goes up on the screen and I'll read it. That's money. Like, I'm doing my work here. This is my job. Like, I'm an entertainer. I'm a content creator. I've made documentaries, one of which has been on Netflix, another 2 of which are available to watch on YouTube for free, one of which is on this channel for free. So we're going to go on and make more media in the future, and I want your backing. We're going to turn on memberships on this channel, and we're going to move towards bigger projects than just me sat here talking. We have a podcast once every week on Super Chuffer called Thus, where we talk about everything about how people think, feel and behave. We've got a forensic psychologist who's my co-host, and we're going to be adding to the team, and we're going to be going out on set as well, on set on location and doing film work as well. We're going to be moving on towards that in the near future. I say near future, it'll probably take, it took me a year to get a podcast together. It'll take me to the end of the year to get another co-host and get that established properly, and then next year we're going to be moving into that next echelon of content creation as we march towards 10k, 20k, 40k, 100k. So yes, tippies are really important. Thank you. So what I'm talking about here, still got Curtis open. I'm going to close that one. What I'm talking about here is Ron and his. Now we're getting into the account of what happened when he found the dog and all that. I can still hear it. I'm just going to take a bathroom break. I'm going to let it play because I just fucked up there by not letting him say the full sentence. So.
That would have been my first. I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife. Yeah. To say that she'd fastened the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially,
right, yes.
And saw the phone but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right, yes, yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
It was just a progression of things happening. We found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were, then the school was contacted and Paul arrived.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yes. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing those steps this time 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So, an important
I know.
juncture. Thank you very much. Take care. All the best.
You.
What if the car of the future
you can shut up with your adverts.
was already here?
Shut up with your oosh. Shut up with your the car of the future. You fucking shut up, you. So, and I wasn't bragging. What I'm doing is I'm making it clear that if you give me money, like 2 of those documentary projects were crowdfunded. So if you give me money to make media, then I do a good job. That's what I was saying, right?
I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife. Yeah. To say that she'd fastened the dog up that was.
And
Penny had rung my wife to say.
Again. I couldn't be happier.
Paul's staircase sent tippies. Perhaps Ron spends a penny in the bushes. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Do you know what? That's such a sharp analysis there. Sharp analysis. I wonder if there's anything between Ron and Penny. Like, everyone's assuming they're related. His wife was, like, could you imagine if, like, in this village, these things going on, these work meetings. I wonder if Ron's ever had a work meeting with Penny. That one is just, time out conjecture. I watch too much Emmerdale, but you know what I'm saying. I wonder. Thank you for the tippies. I do wonder, actually. I don't know the backstory of these people's lives, so any further conjecture than I don't know is invalid. Objection, hearsay. But I just need to take it back now to when he said the phone and the bench, because now it's Penny that's found the dog and tied it up. Hang on.
Saw phone lead, and in terms of, you know, when you saw phone lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow. That was it, wasn't it? You knew you knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past. But whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah. But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought something.
Yeah.
Gone to the toilet in the, you know, that would have been, that was my first, I got to about.
There was almost a panic there. Yeah. That was my first,
The toilet in the, you know, that would have been, that was my first, I got to about this red brick building here and I thought this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife. To say that you should fasten the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted.
So she'd fastened the dog up that was. He didn't say anything about string. Okay, he didn't say anything about string, but he said Penny was the one that fastened the dog up that was, and he didn't say anything further. So it was on her land. You know, was by the river, was by the bench, was loose. I don't know what he was going to say there.
To say that you should fasten the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually.
And he cut him off.
To say that you should fasten the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually.
I think he was going to say rut.
To say that you should fasten the dog up that was.
That was running around, I suppose.
Had rung my wife. To say that you should fasten the dog up that was.
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially and saw the phone, but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right. Yeah.
So at that juncture, Penny's fastened Willow. Has she left? This throws up another really strange thing. Like, obviously, we started with Penny, and we haven't. You know, she's prepared to say nothing, assuming the police have done their due diligence on this. But Penny is the person that's found the dog. Therefore, we're also suggesting the phone here. Has she left the phone on the bench and returned to, gone away, or was she out there? What's Penny doing out there at that time in the morning? Does she always go out walking in these fields at that time in the morning with her own dog? She seemed to have a problem remonstrating with people on the caravan site with their dogs. So Penny's out. Penny's found it. Has the dog made its way onto Penny's property? Therefore, what's this dog doing? I've got these problems with these dog owners. I would understand, if I were to formulate a likelihood, a pie chart of what's most likely, the most likely for me is that Penny is on the watch for dogs being on her property and dog walkers and stuff, because we've got record of that. So if Willow had strayed onto that, through the gate onto her property, she might have thought, fuck this, get back into that field wherever your dog owner is in this field somewhere, and, brought her back to the field herself. Or she might, whose dog is this, sort of attitude. She might have had that attitude about it. It's strange to me that Penny is in this field at the bench. That's strange to me, that Willow herself is running around by the bench and just staying by the bench, and that Penny has walked in and thought, oh, a lovely day, oh, here's a dog, oh, here's a phone. That actually feels strange to me, right? I think that it would seem more logical from investigation and video of the actual bench, and you've all seen the pictures, the dog can get through there, the dog can go under that fence, the dog can go over it once in that area. My dog would jump over a fence if it thought I'd jumped over it myself, or I don't know, man. It seems like there's all bushes and trees and the dog can get through in different places. Is it possible that the dog was on Penny's property and then it's been returned to the bench? As far as Penny's concerned, the nearest place in the park that I can tie it up so its stupid owner can come and get it. David Foley dropped a £12 super chat. Top man super chuffer. You and other chuffers are doing a good thing. Please also give him credit for his he makes some good points on the debate. David, the points he makes that are good, you will not have heard in other people's videos yet, but he will have sourced them from other people's material. Armchair Detective is a narcissist and does the bare minimum of work, steals other people's work and takes credit for it. I don't think he is artistic. I don't think he is. I think that's just him slapping on some paint onto a thing just so that he can sham it out and get some money. I think it's all just a grift. I think he sees YouTube and you as a resource that he can grift off. Thank you very much for the super chat, David Foley. I worry about Armchair Detective grifting people who don't have that much money, who get caught up in the emotional aspects of a woman's death. You know, when Armchair Detective himself is not actually caught up in the emotional aspects of your life whatsoever. That's my opinion on that. Thanks for the super chat. We've done a lot of work on narcissism. It's funny when you check out the Thus podcast and listen to the seriously on that aspect. The best way into that is to listen to our talks on narcissism on this podcast. Listen to that and think about it, and just understand what a narcissist is and how they operate first, and then go back and check out what you think about that. That's all I'd say. It's not all I'd say. I'm gonna have a right go this week on the B side. Anyway, look. Do you think back here? Do you think?
Yeah, and then after that, you know, what happened? Well,
do you think it's possible? I mean, I don't know now. This is one that's thrown a spanner in my works here a little bit. And does it matter? This is what I'm going to say to you as well. Does it matter? Does it find any closer to either pinning it on Penny, or should we be looking in this direction? Or I still think that whether the dog was running here or there, or whether it was at the bench, or whether it was 9:10 or 9:15, or whether Ron can remember whether he had eggs for breakfast, you know, I don't think any of that really matters if there's no evidence Nicola herself was not there. You know, I do think it's important where we find the dog and, you know, what's going on. I think it all paints a picture, but it's all a picture of some BS that I think, you know, still, to me, what I'm not finding. When I watched Emma's testimony, what I was able to find was, wow, that sounds really bad. It sounds like you've done this. Wow, why are you saying that? Oh my God, we should check over here. And like with Paul, it was like, are you even related to this woman? Do you even care? What's going on with you? Like, this seems really bad for you, Paul. You know, and with this, it's not so much that, is it? It's like, was Penny here or there, or... You know, the only one I don't really like is, what's Penny doing in the field in the first place? Is it part of her normal routine? Like, why don't you ask that question? But other than that, I'm not like, oh my God, this definitely could have been a murder. Like, Nicola was here and they carried her off to the caravan park. Like, I'm not feeling that about this. And I think it would be really almost like, how old is Ron and how old is Penny? And like, why would they need to, like, if they've had a row, do you think it would get to the point... Like, would anyone get to the point, even with Penny being an eggy chuffer, would you end up punching her in the head and having a row and murdering each other? Or someone getting murdered? Would Ron feel compelled on his dog walk to, like, you know... Like, I've had to say to somebody before, pick up your dog poo. I've just seen your dog do that poo. Go and pick it up. And they'll be like, oh, chuffy, chuffy, chuffer. They're not going to murder me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, it was just a progression of things happening, you know.
I don't like this either. It was a progression of things happening. That's what he's asking you about. What happened? Oh yeah, it was just a progression of things happening. And I think what he means is escalation instead of progression. Like, progression is one thing after the other, but there is no normal progression in this sort of circumstance. I think maybe it sounds a bit like distancing language. So maybe Ron has actually tried to okay, I was here, I did see the phone, but, you know, I'm now just like an outsider while all this other stuff is happening. Or maybe he's trying to say to this guy, you know, well, I don't know, it's just a progression of things happening. Like, maybe it's distancing language, red flag for distancing language, but and for, you know, putting in words to allow yourself to think of a better answer. But also, you know, yellow card the red flag, you know, yellow flag it for it being a situation where Ron is not really in the know, and he doesn't know exactly what everyone else is doing and saying, and is not the man in control of the phone and the police and the situation, but instead has just like been a small part in this story as a bystander almost, and doesn't really like have the best answer for this.
It's a progression of things happening, you know. We found out because of the wallpaper on the phone.
We found out because of the wallpaper on the phone, and he does this again where he holds the phone in his hand and looks down at it, like where he physically acts out like the physics. Do you know what I mean? Like the act of holding the phone. We found out like that's quite an honest gesture, I believe. Like he's like remembering it. Like if this was my read on Ron, like it is my only read on Ron, but I would say he's probably quite a tactile person, quite a, you know, I need to get my hands on it and do it before I can work it out sort of guy. physically has held that phone and has looked at that wallpaper, and this is his memory of doing so.
The phone, we found out who the couple were, then the school was contacted and Paul arrived.
Yeah.
And this is what people wanted to pick up in chat earlier. You're right, Lottie, actually. That guy got murdered at Regis yeah, but
It's
like,
raining
you've got to
again.
judge those
I couldn't be
situations.
happier.
Swish and then swoosh.
Narc Slayer sent tippies. You're wasted on YouTube. Your calling is the Behavioral Analysis Unit on Criminal Minds, and Pikachu is my favorite. Big loves Chuffer Red Heart Hash.
Thank you very much, Narc
Super
Slayer.
Chuffer owes 6 hugs.
Thank you very much, Narc Slayer. Narc Slayer knows where it's at. Thank you. Thank you for the 6 hugs. Thank you. I'm all right in I'm all right staying in my little lane. But if they want to give me a call, yeah. So this interesting facet here about what is it?
We found out who the couple were, then the school was
They wanted me to say about in chat about then Paul arrived.
contacted and Paul arrived.
And Paul arrived. And Paul arrived gets a shake of the head and a dismissal as he goes to move away, as if that's the end of it all. It's funny, isn't it, that he did say, I know, earlier he said, I know both dog walkers, owners of. He didn't say Nicola and Paul earlier. He said the owners of the dog, because he was referring to the time before when they were strangers to him. I knew them as just people who walked dog. Now I know them as Nicola and Paul. Like, there's no way he doesn't know it's Nick. Like, he couldn't say, I don't know Nicola's name at this point in the conversation, could he? I don't know who Nicola is. But then I didn't know her. I just knew her as woman who walked dog. And so now Paul arrived and we're into the like, it's almost like we jumped from the moment Paul arrived to now. And Paul gets his name. It's not then the bloke whose dog it was arrived, and it turned out his name was Paul. And now Paul, like, he's like almost acknowledging that now he knows who the fuck Paul is. Yeah.
He spotted Willow initially and saw the phone, but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then.
And that's right. Yes. I mean, he doesn't know what Penny did. For that, that's just going back to what Penny did for a second. He doesn't know. He says, "That's right. Yes." He wasn't there. He walked off. He saw the phone and he walked off, and then he got a phone call from his wife to say, come back, Penny's found this phone and this dog. And he's probably said, yeah, I know, I'm on the dog walk, I've seen that phone. Well, get back there then and help Penny out, you fucking chuffer. And he's like, all right, chuffing hell. I didn't know I had to go and, deal with this. Like, that's my feel on that. Yeah, carry on.
What happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
That it was just a progression of things happening. We found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out.
That's interesting as well, because wallpaper on the phone, isn't it displayed when you're not on a call? Like if you're on a work meeting, doesn't the work meeting display? And doesn't the wallpaper of the phone? So maybe the work meeting finished at some juncture. I mean, it probably did. And then maybe, because we're saying about time, we all assume, like, I'm on the phone, I found the wallpaper, I found the thing, it's all happening. It might have been that, he's had a fag, he's looked in the bushes, he's gone for a piss, he's come back, then he's checked the wallpaper again. Like, you don't know how often and how frequently he's been involved in this phone, and you don't know the time scale between find and action. But now we're at wallpaper on the phone as well, aren't we?
Who the couple were.
And we found out who the couple were. So my indication is that the wallpaper on the phone is the children, and he's pulling it like a half, like a gruesome sort of, unhappy. There's an edge to this. I can't see it properly because he's only got half a face to me now. This is really difficult. But my feeling is that it gives him a pang of, like, this is a bad feeling. This is getting too raw and real because we're talking about children. Again, like I started at today's episode, this is a real woman that really died, and her children really are, going to suffer with this their whole life. And, my great belief is that she was murdered and the murderers should come to justice. I certainly understand his feelings of angst here at this moment, because he's referring to the moment so Ron is referring to the moment he has seen the phone and the wallpaper, and that's how he confirms who these people are. So there's either a picture of them, like it's either Nicola herself and Paul, and that's them, so you know who they are now, or in my opinion, because the school were involved. If you remember, they phoned the school. Why would you phone the school? Well, they've got kids. Yeah, how do you know they got kids? They're on the phone. So you've seen these kids, maybe Nicola and her kids, and you've said, right, if she's got kids, and those kids go to that school. So.
And the school was contacted.
And the school was contacted immediately after. So he doesn't say, like, if you look at the phone and the wallpaper and the school was contacted, he means the school of the kids that were on the phone, yeah? So she had her kids as the wallpaper on the phone. Yeah.
Paul arrived.
And Paul arrived, and Paul gets disdain, shake of the head. That's the end of it as far as he's concerned. He's no longer required. Literally turns to walk away, as if from the moment Paul arrives, I imagine Ron removed himself from the situation and has not been happy. At the start when we looked at that man who was having his caravan and he was selling his caravan, and they said, that Penny, and I did the breathing out, and this same attitude here for Paul, but worse. And the turning away, this isn't defensive, confrontational, and it's not submission either, but it's literally, like I say, turning away. From the moment Paul arrives, turning away. I don't know if it's that you don't want to face someone else's sorrow, and it's like maybe that, I don't know, or maybe just this. How do you read someone's body language when you can't see their face and they've turned their back on you? Well, the fact that they've not shown me their face, they've turned their back on me is a big one. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't like Paul. He doesn't even want to face that line of conversation. As far as he's concerned, after having thought about the children briefly, it's time mentally for him to move on. So again, if I can red flag that, I'm red flagging against Paul and this man's attitude and opinion of him. And if this man had done the murder or was complicit in it, then you'd probably talk Paul up a lot more. You'd probably say, and then Paul arrived, and Paul was going in the bushes, and Paul was doing this, and because Paul is an avenue for you to deflect again from you. But he hasn't done that. He hasn't highlighted Paul in any way, really. The mention of him is enough to just make this man want to shut the fuck up and walk on.
Oh, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were, then the school was contacted and Paul arrived. And
the way he gives a frown and a shake of the head about the school as well, he, like any normal person, when the children start to come into the conversation, it makes you feel uneasy and unhappy about that.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yeah. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
And the school being contacted would be very easy for those that were there with the dog and all this, wouldn't it? It would just be like someone I would imagine Penny, like someone with ingenuity, and this starts to rule Penny out in a way. Like, what's Penny doing on the murder scene, calling you want to establish motive, and you want to establish probable cause, and you want to establish whether people had the opportunity, but also you want to establish whether they waited around and phoned the police. Because if you were the person on the scene that's calling the police and hanging out and waiting around, you might murderers return to the crime. They do return to the scene of the crime, but they don't wait at the scene of the crime. Do they? So I find Penny today to be not a murderer, and by his testimony, she's there. She's got the dog. I think eggy about the dog. They probably don't want to say how eggy she was about the dog, because now it seems a bit of a minor because someone's dead. So being eggy about the dog and someone being dead, it feels a bit, well, maybe I shouldn't be so eggy about the dog actually, because someone's dead. So I'm going to say that they found Penny's there with the dog. She's angry. Whose fucking dog is this? He's been called back off his dog walk. He's halfway up there, and his wife has called him, and he's called his wife. And his wife is saying, look, Penny's got the dog. I want you to go back there and help Penny with this fucking dog. I don't know if there's a relationship between the wife and Penny. People, we still haven't established that from this, but Penny's there with the dog. He's now there with the dog and stuff. And they've seen on the phone, as he's described, that there's two little girls and their mom or someone like that. They must be at the local, maybe they're even dressed in their school uniform or some shit like that. They phoned the local school, two little girls, ages this and this, and they've said, oh, this is probably this. Actually, what are the school doing? Hang on, this is weird. We've never discussed this, have we? No one's really dragged this out. But who at the school is yeah, I'll give you those personal informations. Oh, you want personal information about someone's children and someone's parents, do you? Oh, you found a dog, have you? All right, well then I'll tell you. Don't worry about data protection, I'll just tell you. How about that? So I don't think that, even if you did phone the school, imagine you phoned someone's school and said, I'd like details, I found a dog. Two little girls go to your school. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I found a dog. Have you? There's no one that works at a school would just give you information.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yeah. Nicola did this almost every morning. Yeah. And then after that, you know, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
It was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived.
Yeah.
Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived. So I suppose he's not said then the school was called and they told us and this and that. So the school, the moment they put it into the school's hands, they had to wait between then and Paul arrived. So I'm saying, like someone in chat has said that it took. Sorry, I want to say who you are, rather than just saying someone in chat. I apologise, but it's moving past, and I just anyway. Look, so an hour to do this. Yeah, an hour to do this. Like between Nicola's disappearance and the calling of the school and Paul turning up or whatever, like there's a lot of time because, like I said, the first 20 minutes nothing's really happening. You like, if you found someone's phone and someone's dog on a dog walk, like it takes you 20 minutes to walk back from that red hut to the thing in the mud. Like there's no urgency about this in the early stages. There's just confusion, and a lot of the time people might even just say, well, I'll give it half an hour, see if anyone turns up. You know, that as a concept. So there's no urgency in this situation. And like, yeah, as you say, Lottie, the school must have phoned Paul and didn't give out details because these people, there's no way you're at the school furnishing these people with details. So what the school would have done was said, that's interesting, leave that with me and I might get back to you, you know, and then the school would have had to check it out themselves independently. Do we have these children? Obviously we do. What about this? And should we call Paul? And they would have had to decide what they wanted to do. The school might have even tried to call Nicola. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've eventually called Paul. Paul has decided on the prompting of the phoning from the school to call the police on his way down there from my memory. He said that he was driving down there and he decided to call the police on the way down. We should actually cross-reference Paul's statement at this juncture, shouldn't we? But then Paul arrived, and the end of it for Ron. Like, Ron is now, like, pass the baton, walk away. Like, then Paul arrived, and he's not happy with Paul as a concept. Like, it's not like, and thank God Paul arrived, and he took control of the situation, and we've been searching, or like, he was like, then Paul arrived, and fuck it, then I'll leave him to it. You can just read that in the body language with the turning of the back. So that's an interesting aspect of it as well, because you would think that when Paul arrived, like, he didn't say then Paul arrived and all hell broke loose, or, you know, there's nothing too incriminating in certain ways, but you would think that then Paul arrived and the story continued when we continued to search and, you know, this, that and the other. Maybe it's just the sadness of the fact that she's dead and in the river and his assumption, and, you know, maybe it's that, but he didn't want to talk about what happened after Paul arrived, and what happened after Paul arrived is still very much a part of this story, isn't it? So that's in itself a very telling thing.
Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this.
Things happening, you know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived.
Yeah.
Who the couple were. He's already in the past as well, isn't he? Not who the couple is, who the couple were. He's talking about something that happened in the past, but he's talking about them in the past tense as well.
Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yes. Nicola...
Obviously, they're not a couple anymore. Paul's still alive, but Nicola, like, not... At this juncture, it was 3 weeks since she went missing, isn't it? So, I mean, we've done Paul. The thing is about this, that... Saying about the gym kit in chat as well, like, you know... I think I went in real heavy on Paul early doors. I think I did. Fucking sure I did. You know, sure I did. Some people even took the original source material that I edited. Anyway, look, I went in heavy on Paul, didn't I? So I've established Paul as being my prime suspect, and then I've established Emma as being my, like, co-conspirator, also prime suspect. As no, that's what I've said, and then. This that we're doing later, like, the reason I didn't say in the early doors, you know, I didn't do a big episode on Ron and could it be this and could it be that, as I've said, is I did an episode with the Google Maps looking at options, and then I looked into the options, and we can do Roanswater as well. There's a video where I think it was Curtis, or it could have been someone else, actually went into Roanswater, and a sort of caretaker came out very quickly and said, can you leave? And it just, for me, it felt like not a murder, possibly, like, unless that caretaker did it, like, not a murder, because that caretaker would be out saying, can you leave while you're doing your murder? Can you now not do your murder and just leave? I had a very secure, like, it as a site is secure from outsiders, Rowanwater. So it's a red flag if someone from Rowanwater has done this, but I didn't get that feeling myself. You know, I in my percentage thing, you know, that's a very small percenter again. The caravan park here came up because of its proximity, but its proximity to what? To the dog and the phone. But its proximity to Nicola and any event with Nicola, not on account of it. Penny going out and having a row with people about their dogs, absolutely. Yeah, we've got that. But we've also got Penny really nice, Penny happy, Penny 14 messages happy. So you don't know if she liked Nicola, you know, you don't know if they got on. Like, it depends. She didn't like the Dalmatian, but, you know, it depends, like, who you are and what kind of dog maybe, or, like, you know, Penny can discriminate because she's a human being. She doesn't have to give everyone the same treatment, as we've seen through these reviews of her park. So the one thing that troubles me the most is that when we get onto the conversation about Paul, the conversation about Paul doesn't happen. And in fact, Ron has almost, like, well, definitely has what I feel is negative feelings about Paul from the mention of him.
Progression of things happening, you know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were, then the school was contacted and Paul arrived. Yeah.
Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yes. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing.
Probably, he says. He does it every morning. Nicola probably.
Those steps this time 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So, an important...
I know.
I suppose you could go at different times.
Juncture. Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.
And he actually... Ron touches that man as he leaves.
So, an important...
I know.
Juncture. Thank you very much.
No, it's like a natural break in the conversation where we both understand that we've finished the conversation, and, like, Ron reaches out and sort of, like, bumps him. Like, it's a strange one again. Like, it's almost like saying thank you, shake hands, you know, fist bumps or something like that. But it's also like, I'm going to walk and you're going to move aside, and, like, this is the shutting off point of my conversation because I'm, like, physically touching you. Ron's been trying to maintain this personal space throughout with his body language. So
take care.
It's a friendly bump, isn't it, as he leaves? Like a sort of
come on,
friendly but informal, but like this guy's got almost like that social anxiety of he's not looking him in the eye, and, you know, he's looking down as he leaves. You know, Ron, they're looking at each other here, yeah, and as Ron does the fist bump, the man starts to look down and away. You know, it's almost again like this aggression and passivity that I'm seeing at the very end here. Ron just establishing that right at the very end, like maintaining it, sorry, right at the very end. It's kind of strange, isn't it?
An important
I know.
Juncture. This time 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So, an important
I know.
Juncture. Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.
All the best. You do this every...
was contacted.
Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We reach...
I think that says probably, yeah. So there you go. Ron did display some red flags, didn't he?
I know. But the orders of Will.
The confrontational aspect about the nature of his statement, whether he did or did not know Nicola, confrontational. But I believe that's to protect his vulnerability, feeling that he was on the scene and he's worried that people might think it's him and he's just an old man, and how does he defend himself in public if people want to come after him, or, you know, that sort of thing. Chin up, head on, square on, personal space. We had that. We also had the admonition that he really wasn't involved in the calling of the school, and that what we discovered here today, I'm sure that, I don't know if anyone else has said this, right? I don't know if anyone else has said this, but through examining carefully his statement, we assume that Nicola's phone had a picture of her children on it. And that whilst he would have contacted, or they would have contacted the school because of it, maybe they were even in their uniforms, contacted the school because of it. The school would have then left them sat there waiting, and the school would not have given them any information about Nicola or her children, and they would have conducted their own, move from there on. And that Paul then arrives. They probably didn't expect Paul to arrive, did they? Like, they were probably sat there and they didn't expect Paul to arrive. Like, no one's probably told them that Paul is coming, because the police have been phoned by the school, maybe, or by Paul, or Paul's been phoned by the school, but no one has rung them and said, oh, Paul Ansell is coming. Maybe, or maybe they have. Maybe they have. But when Paul arrives, that's it for Ron. Ron's fed up with it then. Why don't we ask him what he thinks, where she's gone? Do you think Paul did it? I think we get some interesting answers out of that. Don't you? I want to say thank you before everyone starts to peter out. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much to anyone that's bought me a tippy. Thank you to everyone that is here watching and supporting and subscribing. Thank you for all your subscriptions. Thank you for the likes. Let's say thank you by giving that money to charity at this juncture while we're all still here and it's going on. We've hit 346 likes. If you want to hit like any further, you want to push it to 400, I'll give 50 quid to charity. But I'm going to quickly open up UNICEF. The good thing about UNICEF is it's straightforward. I can donate online and it goes to kids. So if that's okay, we're going to, people have suggested find a local animal charity in the future. We can, but at the moment this is my system. So UNICEF, I'm going to donate. Of course, a single donation, and you've got time in now to bang up those likes. If you feel like it, if there's enough different people in here to bang it up to 400 likes, I'll give the 50. Do you know what? The likes are going up now, so as they're going up anyway, so what? I'll give the 50. So there's 50. I'm going to press donate now, and it's going to ask for my details. So you don't see the details. I'm going to remove it from the window, yeah? Because obviously I'm not going to write my full details in, but it already knows me, so all I have to do is just press the one letter, don't I? Just the one letter, yeah, just the one letter, and it already knows that. And it will know my first name, just the one letter, yeah. Thank you. And my address, which I never say out loud, but I always type in the... Just make sure... I say it out loud in my brain, so I find it really hard not to say it out loud when I'm typing it, but that's gone in. Continue to payment. And I'll boost it, yes, by giving it a gift aid, and I'll pay by PayPal. And that's opening up my PayPal, and hopefully it won't want my phone details, but I've got that if I need it. Log in, you chuffer. Just a moment here. Well, PayPal balance, yes, complete purchase. Thank you for using PayPal. And then I'll drag it back into the window so that you can see it's saying payment processing. And there you go, right? So now it said thank you. And just to make sure that you can understand that this is, I'm not just got a picture of thank you. Let's get it in another window. Firefox. This has been a great episode today. I've had a really good time doing this. There you can see at the top there. Donate UNICEF. Thank you for donating. That's a live web page, £50. That's just happened there live on my web pages, so it's not just a picture. Just to be sure, just to be sure. But thank you. The donation is on its way. Thank you, everyone in chat, for being here today and for helping to support me and push this forward. Thank you for another. We've got super chats that I'm missing there. Lucia with the $10, thank you, and Slinky Socks $4.99 with a super chat. Thank you. You're all helping me to do good stuff. We're all helping together to make the world a bit better. We've talked about stuff that's quite dark. We haven't gone really in on the murder today. We haven't gone in on all the work meeting and all that too dark today. But I don't like to take you down a dark road and then just leave you there. So we've done something good today. We've done something good today together. And Super Chuffer channel is on its way. It's on the way. We're on 7k, road to 10k. So I appreciate all your subscriptions. I really appreciate it. If you think what we've done today is interesting and you know someone else who is interested in this sort of stuff as well, who likes that sort of stuff, share the channel. Literally send someone a text and say you might like this, or put it on your Facebook. Those sort of recommendations are worth 10 of me going on Twitter and saying, please watch my video. We do live streams, of course. I'll be back doing some more this week. We're going to start talking about transgender issues. I don't know much about it. Well, I do know a little bit, but, not a lot. I'm going to watch somebody else's videos and learn a bit. We're going to be getting guests on in the near future as well. We've got other guests lined up in the world of occultism and demonology. I think we're going to be still pushing towards things. You know, they're going to keep happening, but make sure as well to check out the other channels. I've started up this Super Chuffer for You. It's a clips channel. It's got clips on there already. It's a clips, but they're clips. When I do Twitch, I stream Genshin Impact on Twitch, and sometimes I go off on a tangent. Like when the Queen died, I went on a right rant about the Queen dying. You know, I had a good. I wore a tie and, you know, black tie for 2 weeks while she lay in state. So, you know, you might get a clip from my stream that you haven't seen, because this isn't my YouTube stuff. This is my Twitch stuff. Okay, if you scroll down, it can get a bit, you know, there's a bit relationship counselling for the single man, or an hour of Jesus-based improv comedy, or how to play the triangle, a review. You know, at the start of my YouTube career, I was doing a bit more variety. Women's empowerment cards are wild, while Karen's conspiracy homeschool. These are all clips. So they're about 10, 20 minutes, some of them half an hour. There's one or two long ones, but the you know, you get the gist. Super Chuffer for You. So it's not stuff like you've just seen where I'm talking seriously about this case, but it's just having a laugh. And at the same time, we've got another channel called Battery Exhausted, my B-side channel, and do we have a laugh there? That's for the mimps. That's where my mimps are at. That's where my mimps are at, yeah? My mimps. And over there on my lives, I've been talking about Martin Leaker. We need to go back to Martin Leaker and have another look at what Martin's up to. But we talk about interesting characters on the internet who are grifting or doing bad things, narcissists. But I've also got loads of videos on there that are just, again, like chunks, clips, interesting stuff. We played House Flipper. This is not a choose your own react video for legal reasons. Like all sorts of interesting stuff. I used to do vegan videos as well. So I've got lots of content. I've got a lot to give. I've got a lot to share. And you're on for the journey. So you can have a look at those as well. So don't say I don't give you anything. What is it now? 9:30. I think we've done a really good job today. I think we've done a really good show. I'm really, really grateful. I'm really pleased. It's been requested. Nicola, Bulley, Penny and Ron. We've looked at Penny. I've looked at Ron. If anyone has got anything they want to say in the chat, you know, in the comments now, I've got another super chat there. Windy, £10. Thank you. If anyone wants to, you know, if I've missed something or you want to prove to me about how they're related or all this stuff, the comments. If you're watching this video, the comments. Comments. I try and have a look at them. You know, I try and have a look. So, you know, get in those comments. Can I explain Genshin Impact? Genshin Impact is an ongoing game from China, so it's a bit different from other games. Yeah, it's a bit different from other games. Genshin Impact is like, you know, Zelda, Breath of the Wild or something like that. It was kind of like that, kind of based on it. So it's kind of like that, but you run around in this open world and you do your quests and you kill things with your swords. It's got a kung fu basis. All the characters have got different kung fu weapon. It's lots of interesting different characters, and it's a really beautiful and like the environment's really. It's a really, really good. It's one of the most like for the amount of money they spent on creating the game. It's probably up there with them. They spent more money creating that than any other game, like because it's this big ongoing. It's still not finished. There's 2 more years of content to come out. 2 more years of content to come out. So it's a big, big game, and it's just been a real journey. If you want to find out more, then just check out the channel and check out the playlist on there where I start playing the game completely uninitiated, don't know what's going on, and just have a look and find out. And then you'll know. Just check it out, because I did, and I really enjoyed it, and I've been playing it for a year now. So that's what's going on there. Oh, also on that tip, I got the Genshin Impact cards that we're going to open on the channel. So I'm going to open those on Twitch probably tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, big ups everyone. T-minus 5 minutes, so you can say thank you to each other in chat and say happy. You know, I've said thank you to you. I've been very clear. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. And you can see what we do here. You know, people are going to tell you a lot of nonsense in this world. In this world, people are going to tell you a lot of nonsense, and they're going to tell you to believe what they say or what they think. Or I'm going to say, here's 2 and here's 2, and what do you think it makes? Oh, is it 4? Is it? Or is it 4? Or did you think of that? People are going to tell you a lot of nonsense for their own personal ends. Yeah, I'm not here to do that. I'm not trying to make some super crime chuffer. I'm the super best one, crime ace. You know, taking down the baddies. Like, I'm talking about body language on the internet and psychology and having fun. We have lots of different fun, interesting conversations. Fun. But you know what I mean? We have a good time. We have a good time. Sometimes it's a bit serious, but we have a good time. So I'm encouraging you to make your own mind up about stuff. And if you're going to make your own mind up about stuff, you've got to have a look at it. You've got to look into it. You've got to be open-minded, haven't you, and have a good look into it. And that's a feature of our channel. That's why I didn't write off tarot cards, despite my own misgivings. I don't know about tarot cards. I've got a load of them now in front of me, and we're going to be doing some episodes where we talk about them. Got a few things lined up in that field. We did an episode on the psychic, real or no real, calling. So I'm going to be open-minded to other people's ideas. So I think that's fair if anyone's watching and like, oh, I don't know, this chuffer, he's a bad chuffer. Don't think I'm a bad chuffer, but you make up your own mind. Am I watching the coronation? Bang right I am. Bang right we are. I might do a coronation party stream because my sister is making us dress up in costume, and I've already got my bishop costume lined up. So it's just the same one I wore the other day for for this dangerous nutter and the chocolate reading. There, it's that one. I've got my bishop costume all lined up, so that's where the wig's from. This is my bishop wig. Bishops all wear wigs, don't they? Well, that dangerous nutter didn't he, son? A UFO one? Yes, Beryl. Yeah, we can do that. My friend, my occult consultant in America, because I've got a friend in America who's really into this stuff, and she has got like a tattoo of the, what's it called? Ooh, it's the Mothman. She's got a tattoo of the Mothman. So she's well into this, and she actually came to me when I did my first episode on the occult and said, "Oh no, you need to be open-minded and check this out." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, come on and talk to me." So she has ideas about that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, we're going to get more stuff like that. New video of Emma out. Oh, I'd love that. Where's that? I'd love it if there was. Like, if she did any more talking, I'd be on that. That's not her. That's not her. Or, actually, nah, there's no new ones. I'd love it if there was. There's probably a few that we could scrape up that I haven't necessarily reacted to on camera, but the next one for us is the police. Not tomorrow, not this. Like, I'm not going to do tomorrow. Do the police, But the next deep dive on the Nicola Bulley case from me will be take the police interview from the start, take the things that those policemen said to Curtis, take the press conferences, and we'll go through and we'll analyse. Check your chat on a question on Meghan Markle. Thank you, Beaclet Jog. I don't know where that question on Meghan Markle is, so I don't know where it is. Can I change the chat so we can comment on others' comments and put emojis? It's easier to follow. The way it is right now, all the chats are mixed up and it's difficult to follow. I don't know if you are a bit confused about the chat. I can't change the chat. YouTube do it, Kate. So I don't know. I don't know what you mean there really. But the chat is as it normally is. And Susan says new video of Emma out, but I don't see this question about Meghan Markle. Do a video on Meghan Markle narcissist. We could have a look at it. I'm not that expert on Meghan Markle or her life, but if you've got some videos of her behaving, then I can analyse her behaviour. I can totally do that. I just don't, I haven't in my life ever watched a video of Emma. I know what she is and who she is and what she's up to, but I haven't watched a video about her. Not even when she's doing her acting or anything. I just have no personal interest in it. But if you want, yes, I can. Maybe do that as a coronation special then, yeah? We'll find it at Give You Name Twitter. Is the Bluebird Twitter? YouTube Bluebird. See, I don't know what, I don't know what you mean. But body language, Meghan Markle can go on the list, yeah. We can do that. We can do that. So you're good in the hood then, yeah? You're good in the hood, my mimps. Got a lot coming up this week on this channel. We've got a couple of, like I say, I'm not going to be ever, where would we go? Your channel. I'm not going to be ever, like, I don't know how to explain this. I want it to sound like a good thing. I'm not ever just going to be like this one thing that just covers this one boring thing over and over again, because it will get boring. You know, you're not like that. You don't just like one thing over and over again. Oh, if I turn up at Scott's channel, he's still banging on about the Nicola Bulley case with nothing really much to say, but he's spun it out into an hour and a half or 2 hours of nothing much to say, nothing burgers. I hear that someone down the shop said this. You don't want that from me. So instead, we're going to go on to, like, it's content, and there's going to be some variety, and you're going to, like, the chocolate one's an example. Like, not everyone gives a shit about the chocolate, do they? But other examples would be, like, what we'll probably try and do tomorrow, which is I'm going to watch ContraPoints on stream, a video by ContraPoints, and we're just going to talk about it and see what happens. It's going to be about, like, transgender issues, I suppose, and, like, not everyone's going to be like, oh yes, this is for me, but it's me and it's talking and it's us and we're talking, so you can still have the same enjoyment as you've had today here on a different topic, maybe, and maybe as we go through different topics we find one that you really fucking love, and then wow, like, I'm glad we had a little look and had a little finder, and you can bring up ideas like you've done. Meghan Markle, she can be on the list now. She put her on the list. But the next one from the Nicola Bulley case from me will be about the police and their approach to it and the things they've said and done. You know, yes, I do want that police statement the Monday after she went missing. I'll have to do my little bit of research and just gather up my materials on that. I want to come at it fresh. You know, I don't want it to be, I've got these opinions and I'm going to drive these, you know, I want it to be fresh. But yeah, I think we've done a really good one today. This has been really fun. I'm really glad you've been here. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to do on the chat in the channels in the future, and join me on the other channels, the B side. Make sure you subscribe to Chuffer For You. I'll drop a new video on there now. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. Super Chuffer For You. Right, I don't even know if I've even got a good this is a good way to do this. Content. I don't even have a good thumbnail for it, but we watched Paul O'Grady's Orient the other day. You'll love Paul O'Grady and the Orient. Or do you want Eurotrash? These are your options. I'll start a poll. Eurotrash or Paul O'Grady? Obviously, I talked about a tangent in both of them. I went off on a bit of a tangent in both of them, but I can drop a video now. I can drop a new video and then I'll link it in chat and you can watch it. Eurotrash Revisited or Paul O'Grady's Orient. A reaction from me to either of those. Which one would you rather do? History under Benneth. I'll have to have a look at that as well, Susan, yeah. What's Eurotrash? If you don't know what it is, don't vote for it. It used to be on the telly. It used to be on the telly. You want Paul O'Grady's Orient, don't you? So what I really want to do
it's
is...
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier. Swish, and then
Lisa Strasberg sent tippies. Keep up the great work. XX. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking for a big picture of Paul. I'm going to make a thumbnail now. We're going to make it together while you do the... I think Paul's going to win. Paul O'Grady. Orient and tools. Size. Large. It's not going to have a picture from the Orient, but... large. Shanghai Lil. Let's go with Shanghai Lil. Because I'm in it. I can go like this, like... You know, I can make a thumbnail like this, can't I? So, I'm here. I'm the main one. You know, maybe he's the main one. Maybe you don't really need me. But it's both of us because that's what's in the picture. That's what's in the video. I'll give him a kissy. Like that. And then I'll take my thumbnail like that. Just screen grab it. Oh, I've got those lines on it, you chuffer. Okay, try it again. One more kissy. Big, my face really big. Like that. Okay. My face really big. You're still voting on you. You're still voting. You want Paul O'Grady, don't you? You want Paul O'Grady. So let's get this show on the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my channel, and this is the video, Paul O'Grady's Orient. I'm going to copy the link for you and post it into chat. There's the link of the video. And I'm going to upload the new thumbnail right now. Right this second. The new thumbnail that we just made together. This is quite fun, isn't it? In a way. In a way. Is it? No, it's just admin at the end of the episode, you chuffers, and you're involved. And I'm going to press visibility public, you chuffer. Public and save. So now my new video about Paul O'Grady's Orient, which we talked about briefly on a stream the other day on Twitch. and I reacted to it. That's now available on YouTube, and you can watch that, you chuffers. So I've got a new clips channel, and we've got the B-side channel. We've got all that history underneath video. I'll have a look. Super Chuff. Susan. What I tend not to do though, I tend not to watch other true crime channels a lot. A lot of them have been recommended. I'll tell you what, since I started doing this Nicola Bulley stuff, a lot of channels have been recommended to me. And you know, you all know that I'm not the best favourite of all of this. Sometimes I just don't stand for, I heard it down the supermarket, or this might not be true, but someone on Facebook said. Or even, I made it up completely and the police said that no, this is to be discounted. But she didn't have an altercation. She had an encounter and the police followed it up and decided no, she didn't. Those people were confused. So, I'm only ripping. I will be ripping that aggressive and abusive narcissist in the future. So, no doubt I'll be ripping him in the future. But he doesn't get a big place on my main channel. He's going to be relegated to the B-side channel. But we're going to be seeing his a lot more of some of the weird shit that he's been doing. So, stay with me for that. You're all good in the hood. It's just a straight interview. Okay, Susan, I'll have a look. I will, I'll have a look. But not right now because we're at the end of the stream. But I'll put it in my, search bar and I'll have a look for it. And history underneath. History beneath Emma White. History beneath feet. It's not come up. But there's my video anyway. This has come up. In fact, I'll put it on right now. Look, my own video. But I wanted to have a look at this. It's like Inception, there's two of me. So look, it's the old telly, and there's Paul O'Grady, and he's in the Orient, and I'm talking about the old days and what used to go on. You're not gonna get it. So you can get over there and watch that, you chuffers. You can get over there and watch that. I'm off now to walk the dog. So you be good, my little puckos, and remember, if you can't be good, you saying it. Remember, if you can't be good, you're naughty.